Michael Sartain, a former Air Force pilot, social dynamics expert, and host of the Michael Sartain podcast.
Now to the war in Ukraine.
It's 3 a.m. in Kyiv as the city is under attack.
The Third World War has begun.
I'm a retired U.S. military officer, and this is the stupidest land invasion in the last 500 years. I can tell you there'd be no men of action. My company, that wouldn't exist if it wasn't for TRT. Every possible connotation of the word virus, woke, is a virus.
Who says that, and what is their interest behind it?
Rich people do not hate poor people. Most rich people, they aren't even aware that poor people exist.
You want to make a lot of money? Find out what actually makes you fucking money, which is...
I have tons of friends who are porn stars, and I love them. If they had a funeral, I would go to their funeral. If they have a wedding, I'll go to their wedding. I don't want to date them, though.
Yeah.
I know better. AI is going to take over. Whoever controls that AI is going to control significant narratives. You and I know that white men suffer. We just got canceled. Sorry. Why are you so insecure, bro? Who hurt you, bro?
Dude, last time we spoke was just before the Ukraine war.
Yeah.
That was, you had me on your podcast and we talked about it. And you're like, what do you think is going to happen?
Yeah.
And we're like, nah, everything's super chill. Because the Ukrainians themselves didn't fucking believe it.
Yeah.
I've actually had friends that work in the military and they're like, oh, super unlikely. The West just blowing it up.
Well,
look at us.
They were pretty ready.
Who, the Russians, you mean? Or?
No, the Ukrainians. I will say this, when you start off with your first clip, the Russian invasion of Ukraine will go down as the dumbest land invasion in the last 500 years. Like literally, like it's in the end, they will lose more people. It's going to be an utter and complete disaster for Russia because a couple of things. You remember when you and I were having this discussion, Russia was telling everyone they weren't going to invade. So will anyone ever do business with Russia again? Do you any country ever trust Russia again? Number one. Number two, you're in Helsinki right now, right?
Yeah.
You know what Helsinki has? F-35s because they joined NATO. And Russia said, if you join NATO, we're going to nuke you. And they didn't do that.
They didn't
back
Who knows
up.
if their damn nukes even still work?
That I don't think they work at all. That's it. That's the other thing I've said is that. We're going to get really nerdy here. Tritium, which is one of the elements that is used to detonate a nuclear device.
Yeah.
It shrinks its half-life. It loses its mass 5% every year. That's incredibly expensive and extremely unique skill set in order to be able to redo that. And Russia has the GDP of Mexico. Let me say that one more time. Russia and Mexico have the same GDP. You know about Mexico's nuclear arsenal, right? You know all about that? Mexico's no. I'm sorry. People just don't. Their Sukhoi 57s don't work. Their tanks are getting blown up. And when you look at it now, normally when you have an invading force and you have an incumbent force like Ukraine, they're going to have an advantage because they're entrenched. Does that make sense? When you're fighting on your home turf,
You need to outnumber by 3 times.
Yeah, exactly. So because of supply lines, it's going to make it progressively more and more difficult for you to invade. And so that's one of the other issues has. But in the end, what's going to happen is there's only 3 countries that are going to do business with Russia after this is over, which is South Africa, India, and China, and they are going to destroy Russia's economy because of what happened here. Because it's not.
How are they going to destroy their?
Because no other countries want to do business with Russia as long as Putin's in power, and nobody wants to see it like that. They want to see Putin as like this outstanding bastion for conservatism. And I'm a conservative, but they're trying to equate Putin with Donald Trump, and it's like this has nothing to do with our political elections. I don't know. This is one of the strangest things I've ever seen. It's just one of the. The Russians thought they were going to win in 10 days, and they got mollywopped, and they didn't expect to have what happened. Here's the ultimate expression of what's going on. The Russians are introducing their new team. Oh, this is the last part. This is a really horrible thing that happened in Russia. Russia's introducing their Sukhoi 57s, their T-90 tanks. And when they're doing so, what's happening is the T-90 tanks are getting fucking mollywopped because this is. Not to get too weird here, but the loading station for the artillery for the shells is on the same level as the turret, and so the United States is selling these $500,000 javelins to the Ukrainians, and the Ukrainians are shooting them. They come down on top of the tank, and you'll see all over the battlefield there's these Russian T-90s with the turrets popped off the top because they're igniting the shells. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? It's a design flaw. Well, now the entire world, guess what they don't want to buy anymore? Russian T-90 tanks anymore. So Russia has not only screwed themselves politically and economically, but now their number one export, which is military hardware. Well, one of their petroleum's their number one export, but one of their top exports is military hardware. We now know their Sukhoi 57s aren't stealth. We now know their Kimzit missile is not hypersonic, and we now know that their T-90 tanks can't stand up to anyone else's tanks. So because of that, they've crippled themselves economically. This is they've wasted a ton of resources, and realistically, unless NATO relents, they're never going to take Kiev. And so I was told when this war started, I was told by everyone, dude, Kiev is going to fall. It's going to be a matter of minutes. And I was like, bro, what happens 3 years from now? We're at 2 years now. What happens 3 years from now when Kiev hasn't fallen? What happens now? Like, when you think about from Putin's standpoint, if he doesn't take Kiev, he might die. I don't think people understand that. Like, it is not a situation where he's like, oh, fuck, I fucked up. I'll just pull out. Everything's fine. The infrastructure that keeps Putin in office, that infrastructure will swallow him. Does that make sense? So he's literally fighting for his life right now. When they annexed Crimea, there was like a 74% approval rate in Russia. When they now in this invasion of Ukraine, the rest of Ukraine, it's like 14%. And now it's dropping. And I have friends leaving Russia in droves because they do not want to get conscripted into the army to fight this idiotic war that easily could have been avoided if Russia had chosen to base their economy on something other than petroleum. Now, get ready because there's going to be a bunch of fucker comments in this video. Yeah. And it's going to be these bots, these people who are literally, we just found out. Did you see the whole thing where Russia has been paying U.S. Content creators? Russia has been paying, look at just Google it.
TikTok?
Yeah, TikTok. Streamers. Russia has been paying these American streamers. Tim Pool actually admitted like he'd been getting paid. Yeah, they've been.
How much did he get paid?
There's $10 million that people had been admitting to being paid. But if you want to Google that right now,
Google that, please. Yeah. That's insane.
And so Russia had been paying American streamers to sort of like change the narrative. Guys, I'm not saying this because I'm anti-Russia or pro-Ukraine. I've never visited either one of those places.
You should, by the way.
I definitely will. Like from what you explained to me about Kiev, I'm absolutely going to go visit. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because I'm a retired U.S. military officer, and this is the stupidest land invasion I've ever seen. This is the most point. When Hitler invades Russia, I understand why he did it. Now, it was a colossal failure, but it wasn't in the beginning. And then when Napoleon invades Russia, that was pretty stupid too. It was a colossal failure, but he actually took Moscow. Yeah. So those are pretty stupid, but those weren't pointless. This one is utterly pointless. This is utterly and completely pointless. The idea that the United States and NATO are just going to let Kiev fall, and Kiev, what is it? It's an 8-hour drive to Berlin from Kiev, something like that. Something like that. So you just think that we're just gonna NATO's just gonna let the Russians just put like their missiles right next to Berlin, and we're not going to say anything. Like,
but they got really close. They got really close to taking Kiev because they had to take that airfield right out of Kiev. It's like 20 minutes from where my apartment is. Yeah. I wasn't there, just for people to know. I was not. I happened to actually be freaking snowboarding, which saved my fucking life. Yeah, I was Primoz and I, we went spontaneously to Austria because it was snowing in my hometown, and 3 days in, the invasion happened. But there's an airfield right outside of Kiev, 20 minutes out, and they were this close to fucking getting it, and that was the plan was contingent on that. Yeah, that they got the airfield so they could get the supplies and all the extra troops, but they couldn't get it. They were this fucking close. Yeah, they were battling there for a handful of hours, and then they couldn't take it. And but if they had taken that, they would have toppled Kiev very quickly. Yeah, as to my knowledge.
Yeah, possibly. I don't know. I mean, the problem is, they seemed way more prepared than the Russians were expecting. The Russians were legitimately, you saw Scott Ritter, he was going to...
because they didn't tell the Russians, the troops, where they were going to go. Yeah. They were like, oh yeah, it will be a training exercise. Yeah. I don't know how much of that is Western propaganda, but as far as I heard, when they interview all these Russian troops, they're like, oh, we had no idea we were fighting our brothers, aka Ukrainians. Yeah. They told us it would be a fucking training exercise. Yeah. No shit, they weren't ready.
Yeah. Well, it's not just that they were ready. Here's what's not propaganda. Kiev is not under Russian control. That's not propaganda. That's the truth. And Russia told us they would be. That's not propaganda. That's the truth. So, that's the only thing I would tell. And as far as I'm concerned, the Sukhoi 57s are an utter and complete failure. The new stealth aircraft that the Russians had built to combat the F-22 and the F-35, they've done nothing. Absolutely. They haven't even put one into the field of combat because they know they'll get shot down. Because the Americans gave the Ukrainians Patriot missile batteries, which already shot down a Kimzat missile. So like that's incredibly problematic. It's all Russia has done is expose themselves horribly in doing this. Guys, again, I'm not saying this because I between Biden and Trump, I would vote for Trump. I'm not some liberal progressive. I'm telling you this as a retired military officer who studies war. This was a terrible, terrible, terrible miscalculation that will go down in history as one of the most pointless land invasions in history. I'm telling you, in retrospect, people are going to look back and like, Jesus, what the fuck was this guy thinking? Like, sell something other than vodka, caviar, and fucking AK-47s. Change your economy to like more of a technological updated economy, sell something other than petroleum, and maybe you don't have to invade Ukraine. But that's the situation to put themselves in.
That was part of the reason why I wanted to talk to you, because I'm like, yeah, we know you as like the party dude and social influencer networking, but I'm like, I also know you know a lot of shit about politics and war, and like, you know, me having all these connections to Ukraine, I was like, this is going to be super interesting.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you love it. Yeah. At least that's what it looks like.
Yes.
You love talking about it. Now, you said earlier, like China, India, and South Africa would ruin the economy.
Because they're the only people that were willing. So United States, if we want to, you see how we get our components built in Taiwan and in mainland China, and we have some built in Vietnam, right? They bid against each other. No one's going to bid against themselves. Like literally, like the United States may actually tell some of these countries, we're not going to do business with you if you do business with Russia, as long as Putin is in power. I'm using this hypothetically, and maybe Russia can do something to like dig themselves out of this, but it's never going to be the petroleum that they were selling to Germany, which is this. That's what this is all about. There's pipelines that go through Ukraine. Yeah. The petroleum that Russia was selling to Germany is never going to equate the economic loss of what they lost as far as, I believe they have 1,600. I'm trying to remember how many tanks that they have already in inventory. The Russians, they're going to lose all their tanks, and they're like, they have several other issues that are going on. But this is just the whole thing has just been a massive, massive disaster.
So why haven't they completely bankrupted the entire country yet? Is it because they're still living on reserves? Because you're talking about it like it just happened, but they've been clearly doing "quote unquote" well enough to prolong this war for the last 2 years.
So Russia has a military industrial complex like we do. Yeah, their whole country, like probably the second biggest military industrial complex of any country in the world besides the United States. They had a lot. Like they actually, I believe this is true. They actually enlisted World War II tanks back into this war. They're bringing things out of reserve to fight in these battles, right?
Okay.
And so because they're doing that, like they have like an inventory of tanks that's not endless, but it's pretty massive.
Yeah.
And I also believe that the other thing is there were points near the beginning of this war there was significant amount of fighting, and it sort of dropped back because I think the Russians understand when they take their tanks into the field of combat that so this is what I was going to tell you. The Russian tank, let's say, is $4 million. The Javelin is, I think they've got the cost down to $200,000.
I mean, of course, yeah.
So you're trading one U.S. Javelin for a Russian tank, and it's not. There's no combat. Like,
it's not economical, yeah.
Well, it's not economical, but there's also no countermeasure for a U.S. Javelin that the Russians don't have a countermeasure for it. So because of that, you've got to a point where the Russians are like there's no intent of like invading Kiev at this point. And so now they're just in a place where they can never. The other problem is this: Russia, they're losing, and they are losing. They're losing because they're losing more money, and they're also losing more people. Yeah. But they can never go to the negotiating table saying, we'd like to negotiate and get out of this. Like, don't get me wrong, Putin will say those words, but they'll never go to the negotiating table because it will let the world know that they know they're losing. Yeah. And they're never going to do that. Yeah. It's just, this is one of these problems where Ukraine is literally fighting for its life. Like, it's not, people don't understand this. Ukrainians in Kiev don't speak Russian. They speak Ukrainian. Like, imagine if Mexico was going to invade the United States. It would be bad enough, but like now a country where people don't even speak the same language as you is now invading your country. How hard would you fight for your own independence? Yeah. So you're asking Ukrainians to just lay down and be taken over by Russians.
They're never going to do it.
They're never going to do that. And then you're confused why they're not going to do it. Endless. You see these people on the right, they're like, end this needless war. I'm like, bitch, let Mexico invade Texas and then tell the people in San Antonio to end this needless war. Yeah. It's stupid. Ukraine, I agree if people say the United States should not be giving this much money to NATO. I'm fine with that. What I have a problem with is people saying that Ukraine doesn't have the right to defend itself. Shut the fuck up. Yeah, no. Ukraine has every right to defend itself. I don't care what you think about Zelensky or what his religion is, or whether or not there's fucking whoever the SS is running the military, whatever story you got to make up. Ukraine has the right to defend itself. Yeah. Okay. And if you want to say Russia has the right to invade, sure. Or you could say Russia has the right to invade. But like the idea that Russia invaded and then didn't realize that NATO was going to help Ukraine, whose fault is that? Whose fault is that for not recognizing what was going to happen here? It's Russia's fault. It's no one else's fault, which is why I go back to my original supposition, which is this will go down as the dumbest land invasion in the last 500 years. This is because it's pointless. This is utterly, there's no way they'll end up making, you already had Sevastopol, you already had fucking Crimea. There was no reason for you to take. Now, obviously, the reason why they wanted to create a land bridge in the southern part of Ukraine to connect Moldova to the Russian Federation. That's why they wanted to do that. But like, it's not going to happen. So now what are you going to do? Right. And the thing is, people will come on and they'll debate me on this. And it's just it's so obvious that they have not done any study on this or have any concept of the fact that, well, okay, I'm going to say something right now. You want to really piss off the audience?
No, let's go.
Finland right now could invade Moscow with impunity and Moscow could do nothing about it. Finland has their first squadron of F-35s coming. You tell me what in the Russian arsenal can stand up to an F-35. The answer is nothing. So because Finland joined NATO after Russia told them not to, Finland now has air supremacy and air superiority over Russia. Tell me what part of that is wrong. You want to come, dude, I'll do a live stream and humiliate anyone who wants to come on. I'm a retired U.S. Air Force officer. I flew Spec Ops for 5 years. You are a moron if you don't understand what just happened. Russia just got dunked. But the problem is what Russia couldn't have happened is Ukraine get F-35s. If Ukraine joins NATO and then all of a sudden they start putting U.S. armaments inside of Ukraine, then Russia is like triple fucked. The problem is that they've been triple fucked for 30 years and they just didn't realize it. So, that's the other issue. The Finland thing is the most hilarious thing. Is Finland stood up to Russia, got everything they wanted, and now they have a squadron of the world's most superior, technologically advanced fighters in the entire world. Their fighters, I don't even know if I'm supposed to know this, but their pilots are training in Wichita Falls, Texas. That's where we have Shepherd Air Force Base. We have fighter pilots from other countries train in the United States.
I have a friend of mine who's there.
Yeah, at Shepherd Air Force Base. Yeah,
I'm not sure if it's but he's in Texas, and he's like, he went to school with me. I met him at the fucking gym in Austria.
Yeah, we didn't even have this discussion beforehand. But
this guy's huge, and he used to train in special forces in Austria. And I'm like, "What's up, man? What are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, I'm going to the States to train a fighter pilot." I'm like, I think this guy's full of shit.
Yeah.
But I see him on the stories. He's in fucking Texas. Yeah. And now I've asked friends that like, oh, no way they're being trained in the U.S. But now you telling me that there's foreign fighters training in the U.S.
So foreign tank commanders train at the National Training Center at Fort Irwin in Barstow, California. But the foreign pilot, so we'll sell other countries are F-16s, F-16s, F-15s, and F-18s, F-22. We don't sell F-22s. F-22s are only American. And F-35s, when we have to train their pilots in order to sell, when they sell it to them, we train their pilots at Wichita Falls, Texas, at Shepherd Air Force Base. Yeah,
interesting.
So that's where that's happening. And it's just so funny when I have these discussions with people, and they're like, "No, did you see that Russia banned trans people? Therefore, Russia's good." It's like I understand what Russia's doing, and I'm not necessarily against that. But my point is, like, that doesn't make I just don't know how this became a political thing.
Yeah.
And here, one more thing that's going to piss off your audience. Ready?
Let's go.
Okay. If you believe that had Donald Trump been the president for the last 4 years and Ukraine invaded Russia, that Donald Trump was going to do nothing to aid Ukraine, you're a fucking idiot. Of course he was. Again, people don't understand that Kiev is 8 hours from Berlin. When they think of Kiev, they think of Russia and that area. Yeah. They don't think of Europe.
No, it's more Europe.
It's Europe. They don't see the idea that Poland and Germany are members of NATO and that Donald Trump was just going to sit by while Kiev fell to the Russians and do nothing to help them. I know Donald Trump right now is using this as his soapbox to say, oh, Biden's wrong. He's given all this money to Ukraine, and I would have never done that. He's lying. And you want to know something else? If Joe Biden had not won the election, he would be then saying, do you see Donald Trump's leading us into a war with Russia? These whole positions would have been flipped. It's just politics. I don't care that you're being sold to, but know that you're being sold to.
Yeah.
You're being lied to by both sides right now.
Not always.
Yeah, of course. Whoever is in power who leads the war charge, the other side is going to say, you're leading us into a pointless war. And then it's always been like that. So just don't be fooled into thinking that somehow, now, would they have given as much money as Biden? Hell no. I think the Trump administration would have given less money to NATO than Biden has, but they definitely would have aided. They probably wouldn't have given a squadron of F-16s, but all those Javelin missiles, I can tell you absolutely they would have given them. Yep.
Now, Trump keeps saying now, if he gets elected, he's going to fix it within 24 hours. He's going to stop that war within 24 hours.
I think he's going to attempt to stop the war because he's going to do whatever is politically viable for him. And I hope he does try to stop the war.
What
I really do.
is he going to do? What's the fucking strategy behind get together with Putin?
There's strategy and no strategy. Here's how this is going to end. I think Russia is entrenched enough in Donbass to hold it. I think there's enough Russian-speaking individuals in Donbass to where they want to stay there. I think Russia. I think Ukraine
have that.
I think Ukraine can probably deal with the fact that they've been dealing. Like again, so it would be the equivalent is if Mexico funded an insurgency in Brownsville, San Antonio, Houston, and Harlingen to like fight people in Dallas. Like that's what essentially. At some point you'd be like, yeah, fuck these people. Like if you guys keep wanting to fight us, we'll let you go. I think that's the part. I think also Ukraine has become comfortable with the idea of allowing Crimea to stay a Russian territory. Again, I'm not a Ukrainian, so I can't speak for them, but it doesn't seem like this is a non-negotiable deal. So I think things where they sit on the map today are where they're going to be 20 years from now. Something similar to this, and we're just going to come to an agreement, which we've already sort of militarily come to this agreement. Yeah. The reason why is like there's no more. It doesn't seem like the action has ramped up recently. I think we can come to some sort of agreement that Donbass stays part of Russia. The problem is that wasn't. Look what Russia did. They just bought Donbass, which is utterly useless to them. There's no economic reason.
There's
nothing you can do with it. It was a precursor to take a land bridge that went to Moldova, and so that's not going to exist anymore. So I think if we do this. Like, I don't know what did the conservatives think that like Donald Trump's going to come in there is like we're gonna negotiate and you're just going to give Kiev to Russia. Is that what you think is going to happen? No. In the end, the people who said that Kiev was going to fall in 3 weeks, you were wrong. Just admit you were wrong and stop telling me that I'm the one who's the propagandist. You were wrong. It's so funny. When I made these predictions 2 years ago, everything that I said was going to happen happened exactly the way I said it was going to happen. I told people that Russia doesn't have actual stealth aircraft and that their tanks are garbage and that their fucking hypersonic missiles are garbage. And everything I said turned out to be true. Nobody gave me an award, Max. They told me to go fuck myself. That's what happened. They got even more angry with me. That's essentially what happened. This is a situation where every single thing I said 2 years ago, every single thing I said came true. And these people are just even more angry. So now I'm going to tell you right now, most likely what's going to happen is when the Trump administration comes in.
You saying when, not if?
Huh?
You think Trump's going to win for sure?
We'll
get to that too.
I'll tell you that too. If the election had been 48 hours after he'd been shot, I would tell you 100% he would have won.
Yeah.
I hope he wins. I don't see. I mean, this inflation shit is really crazy, and I don't understand how Kamala doesn't think she isn't going to wear the inflation shit. It's clearly her administration's fault. So I don't know. But going back to what you said before, I do think if the Trump administration got in, you would, because the thing that continues to propagate this war is that even though Ukraine is a smaller force, they have a massive technological advantage as far as ISR, which is intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance. The U.S., their whole intelligence apparatus has been feeding the Ukrainians, obviously, information. And then additionally, from that is like I said, the hardware. So the United States has given them a squadron of F-16s, which is superior to anything the Russians have. It's superior. I'll look right in the camera. F-16s are superior to anything the Russians have right now.
How old are the F-16s?
40 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're superior to anything the Russians have right now. And then additionally, the new block F-16s. I'm not talking not the 40-year-old F-16, but the ones
upgraded
the upgraded ones. So now, when you consider all these things, I do think if there needs to be what happened is Donald Trump, who's a great deal maker, would need to figure out a way to have Putin save face and end this war.
Exactly.
And if that happened, then Putin doesn't lose his life. And I legitimately mean that. If Vladimir Putin gave up in this war, and he appeared to give up, the oligarchs that
he's done.
He's done. And I don't mean done like he's going to be in some fucking dacha. I mean done like a bullet in the back of the head. What happens when you run against Vladimir Putin? You fall out of a window. You fall off a balcony. What happened? Remember what was his general of his private army who tried to attack? What's his name?
Airplane accident. The ex-cook.
Yeah, the ex-cook who became a He had an airplane accident.
Yeah.
That's what happens in that country. That's how they deal with transition of power in the United States is, the worst you ever see is like, January 6th, right? That's what happens. Like, that's about as bad as it gets. in that country, transition of power means a bullet to the head, and so that's the way things work. So I mean, you do see some situations like with Khrushchev, they sort of like erase some of these people from the history books, right? But for the most part, the transition of power is a little bloodier in countries over there.
So what do you think is going through the leadership in Russia, Putin and his advisors right now? Are they just trying to bleed Ukraine? Like, best case scenario, we bleed Ukraine out, just keep throwing bodies and shitty machinery at them until they give up? Or are they more like, we hope Trump is going to do the thing so we can make it look like we didn't lose?
So the Ukrainians, essentially, the Ukrainians call the Russians bluff, and the Russians are sitting there waiting to show their hand as long as they can, and they're waiting for Donald Trump to give them a way to not have to show.
You really think that's their main thing?
Yeah,
to wait for Trump.
I don't know if it's Trump. They've got to figure out something, like, or else what we end up in a consistent state of armament, and this becomes basically the DMZ between North and South Korea. That's it. That's the other option that happens here. But some third party has to come in, and this has to be a third party that Russia respects, and they have to give. The only thing that has to happen is Russia has to be given a way of saving face. That's the only thing that happens.
Yeah, that's what I read too.
And the problem is Russia can't then the next day then jump from Donbass and then try to invade Ukraine. You try to invade Kiev again. That can't happen again. And because if it does, then the entire world turns against Russia. Yeah. And then the only thing that I was worried, the only thing I would say I was sort of wrong about that I hypothesized that would happen is that the Russian front would get bombed by F-35s and F-22s, and the United States would take no credit for it. They'd be like, we don't know what happened. I don't understand, because there's nothing the Russians can do to stand up to an F-35. There's nothing that the Chinese or the Russians have to stand up to an F-35. So because that would happen, it's like all of a sudden, Ukraine is now engaged with Russia, and the entire Russian front, their entire arsenal just gets blown up out of nowhere. And Ukraine's like, yeah, we did that. And the United States is like, I don't know what happened. Yeah. I have no idea. So, I mean, and there's no way to stop that. Because again, the radar, I'm trying to remember, the radar signature for an F-22 was like the size of a pencil or something like that. Yeah. It's some insanely, You can, by the way, just because I know some people will probably try to call me out on this, you can detect if an F-22 or an F-35 comes into your country. You can't see where it is, though. You can use long-wave radio to see it, long-wave radar to see it, but you can't tell where it is. Does that make sense? You can't pick up an F-22 until it's within 20 miles of radar, but 20 miles is a point-blank headshot for an F-22. Yeah,
nothing.
That's nothing for them. 20 miles is way. If an F-22 is 20 miles away from you, you're already dead. So because they have beyond line of sight missile lock on. So that's the problem there. And then the other issue is Russia, their people were complaining, our GPS doesn't work for some reason. Like, I wonder why that. I'm sure it was the Ukrainians who did that. No, of course NATO did that. So is this an unfair advantage that the Ukrainians have against Russia because of NATO? Yes. Should Vladimir Putin have anticipated that? Yes. So it's his fault. It's nobody's fault but his.
Now, when we hung out at Tai Lopez's party 2 days ago, you said something about Ukrainians are fighting back or something like that. That sounded to me a little bit like the Ukrainians are invading parts of Russia again.
No. So they have previously. I was surprised. Like when I heard that stuff about Ukrainians actually going into Russia and advancing in Russia, I didn't expect that to happen. I do think that's like the idea of Ukraine invading Moscow is absurd. I don't think anything like that's going to happen, but I think that's what Russia is trying to make it seem like is going to happen. Like if the United States keeps giving Ukraine armaments, then they're going to invade. That's absurd. No one believes that's going to happen. No one with any credibility believes that's going to happen. So yeah, it's just one of these really, really crazy things where, listen, I don't know why I'm having this debate anymore. You guys saw that Russia has been paying off these grifter fucking streamers for the last couple of years to say all this stuff. You saw the Tim Pool stuff. You guys know what happened. I don't know why. I've been proven completely right. Bring on your fucking hate comments. I was right. You were wrong. Just admit it. That's it. Like, that's essentially what happened. But, yeah, I don't know. You said before, I don't, as far as them fighting back, to me, it seems to be like we're a bit of a military stalemate right now. I don't know about anybody's fighting back, but yeah, apparently Ukrainians did go into Russia and invade Russia, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty badass too, and it just shows again that Russia is just doesn't have the means to do much about it. They're so busy already with the border and with trying to push the front further towards Ukraine, further inwards to Ukraine. They don't have much else.
Yeah,
their fighting forces suck. They're untrained. Their entire system doesn't work. If you listen to a lot of Jordan Peterson, who keeps saying like their whole military apparatus is built on people lying to each other.
Yes.
Because it's just this top-down hierarchy.
Well, you started with felons, remember? Yeah. You had put a bunch of felons out there, and a lot of them turned over to the other side. You see Ukrainians fighting with Russian tanks. Like that had happened pretty frequently. I don't know if it's happening as much now, and I'm sure it's the exception. It's not the rule, but it certainly did happen. You just have issues like that, and you also saw Russian elements fighting against other Russian elements in Russia. That did happen. That's not deniable. So you don't have a great consortium of you don't have a consensus of people in Russia who want to support this war either. So that's going to be another issue. But yeah, you're right. It is a top-down issue of people lying to each other. And I have clients right now. I'm not going to say where they are or what their names are. Yeah. But they're Russian citizens who left Russia because they don't want to be conscripted into this war that they recognize as pointless.
Yeah, everybody that has money got out.
Yeah,
it was also the same in Ukraine too.
Yeah,
but when things got heated, some people are like, I'm not even going to fucking be there if it actually happens because I get drafted.
People don't remember Beirut used to be an incredible vacation spot, and it turned into a war zone. Yeah, incredible. And then the civil war there happened, and it was incredible. Oh yeah, pre-1970, Beirut was a beautiful place people would go visit. And now it's because it's a war zone. You see, like we just think of Beirut as being like a continual conflict area since they had their civil war, but that was like 40 years ago. Yeah, that's the same type of situation here. Dude, Baghdad would be an unbelievable vacation spot. The problem is what they've done to the place. You know what I'm saying? I would love to get to see the Tigris and Euphrates. How unbelievable, when you go and think about like the stories from the Old Testament, how unbelievable would it be to actually get to visit Baghdad and feel safe? But no one does. No one goes to visit that place, right? Unless you're an archaeologist. It's like really difficult. So there a lot of these places could be unbelievable. The people who figured it out, you know who they were? The people in Dubai and Abu Dhabi. They figured it out. They were like, let's turn this unbelievable oasis into something beautiful that people want to visit, and let's keep the conflict out of here. And these Western cultures and these people with money, when they come here, let's treat them well, and they keep coming and spending their money. Yeah, that's what Dubai figured out. So these other places just not so much.
The thing that interests me about just to wrap up the whole Russia topic, they seem to never fucking learn. It was exactly the same in World War II when they were trying to invade Finland. Completely pointless. The Finns fought with all their heart. They knew the terrain, and Russia just kept throwing bodies at them until they lost so many people, just enough to then get all the way to Helsinki. I know this a lot because I spent a lot of time in Helsinki. My girlfriend is Finnish, and you really get to see it from their side, how they just slaughtered the Russians. There's this one, I'm sure you've heard about, the Simo Hainen, the White Death sniper who just shot I think 300 Russians by himself with a hunting rifle without a scope. I read his autobiography. Insane. The Russians refused to go into that forest because they were like, that's where the White Death is. And this guy is just a singular guy. And so they did that. Then they tried it in Afghanistan. And it didn't work there either. They always just try to throw bodies at them. Train your fucking military. Like, get your shit together. But they never did. And you can see how much a little bit of training really does with the example of Ukraine. They got trained by the U.S. and they're kicking ass.
Yeah.
I don't know why they're not fucking learning.
Yeah, I don't understand either. I think what happened is you have to understand the leader of your country is a former KGB operative, right? Like, that's what Putin is. Yeah. Putin comes from a time where the Soviet Union was respected because of their military strength, and when they had a problem, they would invade a country. Does that make sense? Yeah. That's still the mindset he has. You understand? Yeah. It's like the guy who has the sideburn chops because he used to pick up chicks in the 70s, so he still got them. Like, he hasn't figured out that the world has changed. He doesn't, like, again, you know Vladimir Putin, so from my understanding is he doesn't get on social media. He doesn't touch computers himself. He's always worried about his PERSEC, his personal security. And so when people started telling the truth about this conflict on social media, he didn't understand that was going to happen, because in Soviet Russia, that would never have happened. In the Soviet Union, that would have never happened. You would never seen an organic uprising against the Soviet administration, but now you do. And he's confused he's like, how does social media do? We need to ban these people, whatever. And then he came around to being like, well, then let's just pay these other state-run media organizations to do whatever. And like, you can't oppose him in the country. And he doesn't I think the problem is he doesn't see that the rest of the world can see him, because he doesn't understand how social media works. Yeah. And I think that's the problem. That's essentially what's going on.
And nobody in his advisories having the balls to even fucking tell him, because it's such a top-down shit.
Anyone, I don't care if you're the biggest Putin fan in the world, if you legitimately think that anyone in his advisory is going to stand up to him, you know better. You understand. The difference is, when we talk about Biden or Trump or Kamala, none of them have put their hands on a human being and killed them. I guarantee you,
of course not, yeah.
I guarantee you, Vladimir Putin has killed people.
100%.
He was a KGB officer in the fucking 1990s. Please stop. He absolutely has killed people and tortured people. You're dealing with a different type of human. I'm not saying he's a sociopath, but you're dealing with a different type of human being.
Yeah.
Just please understand that. And so what happens is he's still in the mindset of like what we were in the 80s where Rocky was good and Ivan Drago was bad. In his mindset is like that Ivan Drago was good to him. That's what that was the Russian archetype for him. He loved that, right? But by the way, the Dolph Lundgren, who played Ivan Drago, isn't Russian. I met him.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So where is he from?
He's
Scandinavian or some shit?
Yeah.
Or Lithuanian or something?
Finnish or something. I forgot what he is. Yeah, but he's not Russian.
If he dies, he dies.
He dies, yeah. But like that movie and that depiction of Russia is probably closer to what Vladimir Putin thinks of Russia than what he thinks of them right now, which is basically a petrostate that has been overrun by corruption, that's what Russia is, which just happens to have a whole lot of fucking leftover missiles and tanks and airplanes.
Yeah, fuck. I mean, like I said, like I told you, I'll be excited once it stops, man.
Dude, I'll go visit Kiev. I would love to go visit Kiev.
We'll party there. It's such a beautiful, epic place.
Yeah.
And it's just the right mix of West versus East.
Yeah.
You can still do anything with money.
Yeah.
You can drive any car. You don't need a license. You can... I mean, we ordered fucking fireworks at 2 a.m. on a Tuesday. Some guy brought it. Like, you can do these things, right? But at the same time, it's safe. There's not a lot of crime. The only crime there is like petty crimes, like the cab driver scams you for extra money, shit like that. But there's almost no violence there.
Yeah.
It's such a beautiful place. And the winters are bitter, but
you know why? You want to know why there's no violence or crime? Because you have women. That's it. There's tons of studies that show this. Like, as you have more men that have less opportunity with women, you get more violence.
No shit.
Yeah.
So basically like the guys in Ukraine get laid enough to not become violent?
And now obviously there's violence in Medellin, but like in certain areas of Medellin, not a lot of violence because these guys are getting laid. Yeah.
I thought about that too. You see that on a microcosmos too. When I used to go out with the dating company and we would coach guys around the world, we would see this, you would sometimes recognize people that you saw a couple hours earlier at the end of the night, and you would see these wolf pack young guys, and they're like, "Oh, today we're getting laid, guys." It was like 10 guys just roaming the streets, and then you'd see them like 3, 4, 5, 6 hours later, drunk, getting into fights.
Yeah. So
you get late.
If you go out in certain rural southern cities, see tons of fights, right? Or any city that's near a United States Army infantry base, you're going to see a lot of fights. But I haven't seen a fight in Las Vegas in fucking 8 years. Not a one, other than like in MGM. I haven't seen a boxing match. I haven't seen an actual fight in Vegas in so long. It's crazy. It just doesn't happen because there's women around. You just you're like two guys are fighting and some other third guy comes and steals your girl. Like that's how it is. Right? Nobody would ever do that, right? And like I rarely see it in LA. When I went out in certain rural places in Texas, fucking fights every night, and partially because a lot of guys in Texas take steroids, so there's a big thing there too. But
rage.
If you're at a place with a lot of women, I've never seen I go to Ignite parties with Bulgarian, or I go to the fucking Playboy Mansion or whatever. I never see fights.
It's good.
I just don't fight. Yeah,
to have a positive influence on us.
Yes. Yeah,
it's that fucking simple. What is that with steroids that makes people more aggressive?
You've
taken TRT. I've never been there. Maybe I will in a couple of years. But
I think what we're referring to is the roid rage. That is, I think that's an excessive amount of testosterone and estrogen. Like basically because your body is taking the excess testosterone, turning some of it into estrogen, and that's what you see the guy on trend like going through his girlfriend's phone and wanting to fight. Going on TRT, I don't see those guys becoming more violent. They do become more assertive. They get more muscle for sure. I think it makes you more focused, and I think it makes you more virile in bed, but I don't think that it makes you more violent. And I've talked to several guys. Jay Cutler was saying this is like, if you were a dick before and you had a violent personality and you take steroids, then you probably will get more violent. But testosterone's not going to do that to you. I think that's part of the issue. Is like the roid rage comes from like excessive levels of testosterone combined with estrogen that's like through the roof as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what was the effect that the TRT had on you, and do you still take it?
Yeah, I still take it. So I'm turning 47 this week, and I'll tell you, for me, the easiest way to explain it is probably when I was 42, I was dating this stunning girl, and I was just not that interested in going home and having sex with her. And like to even to this day, she might tell people that, and she's right. Like this girl's so fucking beautiful, and I just remember thinking there was something wrong with me, and there was. Like the world started getting gray for me. I don't know how to explain it, but like the food didn't taste as good, and like I just kind of didn't give a shit about things, and I wasn't fat, but I wasn't in good shape.
Lethargic.
But I would go to the gym, and one thing I noticed is that I would lift a lot, and my arms would stay the same size, but my gut would get bigger.
Exactly the same.
My gut would get bigger. But my arms would stay the same, but it's the same workout and the same diet. I just noticed, like, later I found out protein synthesis started to slow down. My metabolic rate started to decrease. And when I got on TRT, it's like the world became colorful again. You know, there's that point where it's like, am I really going to drive 45 minutes to go fuck this girl? Like when you're older and you've made some money and you have women constantly, you're just like, I'm not going to drive 45 minutes to fuck this girl. You get on TRT, it's like you would drive to fucking Barstow to go fuck her, like whatever, like what time? Like you're just, I remember like the stupid shit I did in my 20s to like drive out just to go fuck some girl. Like all of a sudden I was like, yes, wherever, let's go. Like all of a sudden that started happening. You know what I'm saying? So there was that. But the other thing is, I can tell you there'd be no Men of Action. My company, that wouldn't have existed if it wasn't for TRT, because it made me so fired up and focused to really focus on what it is that I was good at. And, it just like life changed. Rollo, my partner Rollo, he's my co-host on my show. He got on it too, and you can just see there's just massive change in like the assertion and aggression and industriousness that you have when you get. By the way, I'm not at super physiological levels. I'm just at what I was when I was 19. I just have the endocrines. I have the endocrine hormones of what I was when I was 19 years old. That's all that's happening. I'm back to that. So. If you abuse it too much, it can grow all your organs. It can grow your heart. Your heart is a muscle that can grow, and that's not good for you, for your heart to grow. So that's why the abuse of steroids, like people taking Tren on a regular basis. I have a friend of mine, he's a humongous influencer, and he's taking a lot of Tren, and he told me straight up, he goes, I'm not long for this world. But he's making a lot of money, and he's happy. Like right now, he's like, I just want to be big as shit. I don't give a fuck about anything else. I wouldn't do that. Also because I'm reading Dr. David Buss's Evolutionary Psychology, New Science of the Mind textbook. The textbook, the actual not the Evolution of Desire, his actual textbook that he has at UT Austin. And they go over the over and under perception bias of men and women. They show women's bodies on a 7-point scale. So this is one end, this is like super skinny, and this on the other end is like plump. And they do the same thing for men. What happens is women say, what do you think men find most attractive? And they choose super skinny, and the men choose the middle. They choose this sort of like, there's some curves. Yeah. Because we want to have kids. Yeah. We don't want to have, women who are too skinny actually can't have kids. Women who are too fat actually can't have trouble with kids too. We want a 0.7 hip to waist ratio. We want a little bit of body fat. We want some health in there, like some sturdiness and stability. You're going to have to carry a child for 9 months. That's what our hindbrain genetics are looking for, a woman with some sturdiness to it. Men, on the other hand, when they have to choose, they choose the Arnold Schwarzenegger physique, and women, though, they choose the Brad Pitt in Fight Club physique. That's the one they want.
Lean and a little muscular.
Correct. So men have an over-perception of how muscular they need to be, and women have an under-perception of how much they need to weigh. And that's just a really interesting feature of human psychology. And so guys will take steroids, and they'll be skinny and wafy their whole life. And they'll take steroids, and what'll happen is they don't look like bodybuilders. They just look normal for the first time in their life. You've seen, if you've ever had a client who's Indian, who's been vegetarian his entire life, you see, Indian men with the gut and tiny little arms. Yeah. That's from excessive levels of carbs and no protein. Yeah. Right? That's what happens from the vegetarian diet. So they'll go and they'll take a summer and they'll take steroids, and they don't look huge. They just look, for the first time, they look like they have a normal V-shaped taper and just a normal physique. And they're like, well, if I took this much steroids and I got this many compliments, if I take twice as much steroids, I'll get twice as many compliments. And of course, that's not how it works. Yeah. They get beyond. There's a frontier, an effective frontier, like Ty Lopez talks about all the time. They exceed the effective frontier. They're taking too many steroids. They're too big. They start getting pimples on their back, etc. Back acne, all this other stuff, and they start getting oily skin. Maybe their skin starts falling out because of the DHT, and they've gone too far. Yeah. I think somebody taking 100, maybe 150, as high as maybe 200 milligrams a week of TRT. And then maybe if you're in some situation where you're super small and you get a doctor to maybe prescribe you a little bit of Anavar. I'm not recommending Anavar. I'm just saying if you had someone do that, then I can maybe understand that. But unlike some other people, I do recommend at some point you do take an estrogen blocker if your body produces too much estrogen. I know some people swear against that. They're like, never take an estrogen blocker. I think when you don't take an estrogen blocker, you end up becoming Will Smith hitting Chris Rock. I absolutely think Will Smith's on TRT, and I think he doesn't take an estrogen blocker, and he goes, keep my wife's name out of your fucking mouth. Like he talks like a little bitch. Yeah. That's excessive estrogen that and years of abuse from Jada. I think that's what you saw manifest right there. I do think guys should, if you have too much estrogen, I do think you should take some kind of block.
It was such a sad moment to see someone that used to be so fucking cool and manly and all these epic roles. I mean, Bad Boys 1, 2, 3, I Am Legend. That was really him at the peak of his career. He was fucking badass. He was like Black James Bond.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden he started just simping. And even now with Bad Boys, what was it, 4 or 5, or Ride or Die coming out, I'm like, I don't buy it anymore, man.
Yeah.
You were just simping.
He kind of ruined that for himself. Yeah.
Yeah. I believe that.
I agree with you. At one point, I think he was the coolest guy in the world. I would definitely say, like, around Independence Day, he's probably the coolest dude in the whole world, right? The thing about it with do you remember there's the guy who has that show called The Heatonist? No. Where they eat these hot chips. These people eat hot food while they're doing the interview. You just look it up, called The Heat.
Oh, I just know the chicken, the wings, the fucking...
Yeah, they'll eat the...
Is that the same guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, where they eating the wings.
Yeah. So the guy who hosts The Heatonist started dating a porn star, and he went public with her, showed a picture of the two of them on Twitter, and then Adam22 goes, "Hey, dude, congratulations, your girl's pussy is fire," and then shows a picture of him fucking the girl. Okay, now why? No, dude, here's the reason why it's funny. You and I are laughing. I didn't have to tell you this before. Obviously, you think it's funny. I think it's funny. Yeah. But the reason why we think it's funny is because we as men who have not been indoctrinated with woke bullshit understand that it's not a good thing to have your girlfriend being railed by other men and having there be pictures of it. We understand that if we were to date a porn star, we'd do it on the DL or not at all. And we would never claim them publicly because now it's like, hey, I'm Max, come by Freedom Business Mentoring and then go watch my girlfriend get fucked by some other dude for $5.99 on OnlyFans. That's not good for business. I tell my sales team all the time, guys, what would happen if I had a girlfriend and then my clients could go watch them fuck other dudes on OnlyFans? They go, it would destroy our business. You'd lose all credibility. But you understand that. And I understand that. But this hedonist guy didn't understand that. Why did he not understand that? Because he's surrounded by this woke bullshit telling him that he is supposed to be okay with a woman's past and have no judgment of her past whatsoever. And he believed it. And then when he got embarrassed by Adam22, all of a sudden Darwin kicks in and he's like, wait a second, this looks really bad. And he broke up with her the next day. You understand?
Next day.
He broke up with her the next day. Okay. This is the same.
But also what a simp move.
Yeah, exactly.
To have that affect you even. So it's like, but he's simping on both ends.
Yeah, of course. Well, he's reactive both ways.
Yeah.
There's another video, have you seen, where Jason Momoa is like, he's hugging this girl and he's pushing her boyfriend away like this. It's really funny where he's like totally bait. But the thing is, Jason Momoa isn't doing that because he's some kind of alpha male. He's doing that because he's infected with a woke mind virus that this guy should know it's okay that other guys fuck your girl and you should be fine. You should not be so insecure, bro, and let other dudes fuck your girl. Why are you so insecure, bro? Who hurt you, bro? Why? No, bro. There's nothing wrong with not wanting you other dudes to touch your girl. That doesn't make you insecure. It's okay. Hey, if you're watching this and you're like, oh man, I can't believe Michael said that out loud. I've been feeling this way where everyone's telling me I need to step up and date a single mom. Everyone's been telling me I need to step up. Yeah. And like, I don't feel like something's wrong. That doesn't feel right.
You feel it. It goes against your nature.
Yes.
And you're like, well, but everybody says it, but it feels so weird.
But everyone here in San Francisco and everyone here in I want to fit in Los Angeles. Like I want to fit in New York. Everyone tells me that I'm supposed to just be cool with this, but something doesn't feel right. And I'm here to tell you, bro, you're right. Pick up an evolutionary psychology textbook. This is how men have been for 200,000 years. This is the way it was. It's okay. I'm not going to be a hypocrite here. I have tons of friends who are porn stars and I love them. I live in Las Vegas. And I'm not saying I go searching for porn stars. I just go to the mailbox. They're everywhere. Okay. I just like, I have friends and I love them. And if they had a funeral, I would go to their funeral. If they have a wedding, I'll go to their wedding. I love them as people. I don't want to date them though.
Yeah.
I know better. I know that the more sexual partners a woman has before she's married, the more likely she is to cheat. It's not my opinion. There've been multiple studies that prove this beyond a shadow of a doubt. But I'm being told to be accepting, and I'm supposed to normalize this. Well, let's use the original example of Will Smith. The reason why Will Smith allows Jada Pinkett Smith to fucking emasculate him the way it does is because he's been surrounded by woke people telling him that you need to let your woman flourish and be super strong or whatever, not recognizing, no, Jada has been, her whole existence has been not failed, but a moderately successful acting career and glomming onto your success. The thing that makes Jada probably more upset than anything else is that she's married to a better actor than her. Do you understand? She's married to a better actor than she is. She's a narcissist. And so in this situation, like the whole entanglement with August, you don't remember when she's sleeping with some other dude and telling him about it?
Yeah.
By the way, we're all supposed to believe that Will knew about it and was okay with it. We all know Will did not know about it and he was not okay with it. And he has to retroactively go back and say, oh, yeah, I knew all about my wife fucking some other dude, but I'm a progressive man because all of my liberal woke friends here in Hollywood told me I'm supposed to be okay with my wife fucking other men. I'm supposed to be okay with that. And if I'm not, then I'm insecure, bro, right? And meanwhile, like all the rest of the guys are sitting here like, hey, yo, that doesn't feel right. I don't know what it is, but that doesn't feel right. And you get to a point where everything finally breaks. And then Chris Rock has a really funny line. He goes, was it G.I. Jane 2 or some shit like that?
Yeah.
It's just funny. She's bald.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if she has alopecia. He's not making fun of her for alopecia. You know what I'm saying? And they were just jokes. And when you realize, you see that whole situation, it's like he cracked. The reason why, it's like we see him go up there and slap Chris Rock. Him slapping Chris Rock wasn't the problem. It was a symptom of a previous problem. Yeah. He'd been beaten down with wokeness. No, let your wife do these things. Go to the red table, embarrass you over and over again. Just deal with this wokeness. Be emasculated. This is the way of the world. This is the new normal. These men are misogynists. And he'd just been fed this for so long that finally his evolution, his testosterone, his manness finally cracked and he went up and slapped Chris Rock.
Yeah.
But he wasn't Chris Rock. Chris Rock was just a man of, it was just the straw that broke the camel's back. That's all it was.
Yeah. It was the valve where he could let off the steam for first time.
If he could punch the wokeness in the face, that's what he would have done. And he couldn't do it because the wokeness was just like, it exists in this ethereal place. I was reading ChatGPT. I was reading their interpretation of wokeness. Like,
no shit. That's actually interesting.
It's this this controversial term to go against progressive values, but it's not literal and it doesn't mean anything. Yes, it is literal. It is literal. It's so funny. Gad Saad was the one who came up with this idea of the woke mind virus, and then Elon Musk talks about it. But from every possible definition or every possible connotation of the word virus, woke is a virus. It infects other people, and it's based on like it is literal. It has to, like, truth doesn't have to infect people. Gravity is not something I have to infect you with. I can show you gravity.
Yeah.
Truth does not need to be infectious. And by the way, often truth is not infectious. You and I know you got to work fucking hard. You have to listen to people who are smarter than you, and you have to like let your ego sit down while people who are smarter than you teach you how to run a business. You and I know that because it's the truth. But that truth is not viral. If it was viral, more people would be successful.
Yeah.
So we know that's not viral. So the truth is not, it doesn't have to be viral. But what has to be viral is a lie. A biological man can have a baby. That's a lie, but we're being told that because that's part of the wokeness. And if you were to express that isn't true, then ask ChatGPT like straight up obvious questions like that and watch how it like bloviates. Like, this is a controversial topic that has multiple, like, ask ChatGPT, what is a woman? Like, do these things. There's a lot of controversy surrounding. No, there's not. There's no controversy surrounding this. There's just wokeness. That's all it is.
I'm asking ChatGPT if men can get pregnant.
Yeah.
Men cannot become pregnant in the biological sense. Pregnancy requires female reproductive organ. That's a surprisingly truthful answer, actually. But here's the thing. Maybe ChatGPT knows my roughly political direction and adjust it. Have you seen one of the last episodes on Joe Rogan podcast where he had the guy on that figured out that search engine results are adjusted to the person that is Googling it?
So I had said this a while before. So after Donald Trump was shot, ChatGPT was denying that he was shot.
Wow.
Like a couple of weeks after. I have screenshots of this.
Yeah.
And Trump was leading in the polls, like by far right afterwards.
Yeah.
ChatGPT was saying that Kamala was leading in the polls. So we knew that. And then if you look up Trump assassination, the whole thing where Google was not allowing you to look up Trump, it wasn't doing the fill-in results. Elon Musk pointed that out. That is all true. So you're saying this may be an overcorrection? You might be correct. That might be an overcorrection. Grant Cardone put out a video recently where he was putting out advertisements. By the way, my business is not doing that well this week from paid, or this month from paid, because the Kamala administration is buying so many meta ads.
Of course,
we're having to compete with them.
October, November, December, you guys are fucked.
Yeah, in the U.S. It's been pretty bad. But we thought we were doing something wrong with our ads. And then we talked to Jeremy Miner, Cole Gordon, all these other people, and they were like, "Yeah, like this is like kind of across this coaching space, because your paid traffic is going up against political administrations, and they have a lot more money than you."
Yeah.
Anyway, I forgot what the point I was trying to make.
My question is, because it might fit to the point I was going to make, when we look at the woke mind virus, when we look at scary things like Google adjusting the search engine results and so on and so forth, I often think about how much of that is actually like a top-down, like a group of people consciously saying, let's manipulate the masses, let's generate a false public narrative. I've talked to Sterling Cooper on that on my podcast the other day as well. And how much of that is just opportunistic, like self-propelling ideas that imagine a room with 10 people, right?
Okay, I see what you're saying.
One person says something woke, 9 people disagree, but they're scared that everybody else agrees, and now they're just self-propelling this narrative.
It sounds like you just described a virus.
Yeah.
You just perfectly described a virus. That's exactly what's going on. So a great book I recommend people check out is called Conquering the Sociopath Next Door by Martha Stout. She has another book called The Sociopath Next Door, which is the first version of it. At the end of the second book, the Conquering the Sociopath Next Door, she talks about it's called group sociopathy. I believe that's the name, or corporate sociopathy. So we take a group of individuals who they pay their taxes, love their kids, take care of their animals, never cheat on their spouse, go to church, tithe money. In every case, they give to philanthropy. In every case, they are totally empathetic, normal, adjusted individuals. Then they go to a board meeting where they're incentivized to make the shareholders money. And as a group, they have no empathy. So you take a bunch of empathetic people and put them into a room, and because of the incentivization, they act as one unified sociopath. And it's like, when the case for this is unbelievable. And you look in the federal government, you see this happen all the time. And so do I think that's what's happening? Yes. I think, is there one or two nefarious people in that group that are like, hey man, we gotta do whatever thing we can to suppress this Trump assassination because it makes him look like a fucking G. He's got blood coming down his face. He's like, fuck yeah, keep fighting. After he got shot in the ear, this dude is a G. We have to suppress this. There is a part of that. Absolutely. But the rest of it is like nobody stood up to them. Like, it was very clear why Google suppressed those results. I think we all know because it was so damning to their administration and so good for his. They've been very open and clear. We don't want Donald Trump to be president of the United States. So when you see stuff like that, it's very problematic, but I do think it's more of a function of groupthink. But this is the difference. Like, when you think of masculinity and conservatism, the cowboy in Wyoming makes money, takes care of his children, and the stockbroker in New York makes money and takes care of his children. But these two men, even though they express their masculinity in two different ways, this guy's a corporate raider and this guy's a cowboy, they respect each other. And the corporate raider doesn't tell the cowboy how to raise his kids. And the cowboy doesn't tell the finance guy how to raise his kids, because that's a function of masculinity. Masculinity is partially based in individuality. We respect that we're different. If you're a Christian man and you have a friend of yours that's a Muslim man and his children love the shit out of him and his wife is good to him, we respect that this Muslim man, even though his religion is different than ours, we respect that he has a good wife and family, and we're like, man, that's awesome. And we know that the world is a better place because he's like that. As masculine men, we respect each other's individuality. Progressivism is the opposite. Progressivism is, we must worship the groupthink. We always have to agree with what the group.
The Marxist idea.
Correct. The Marxist ideology. Correct. And in which ideology, if the individualism or the groupthink, can you spread a virus quicker? The virus gets spread quicker from the groupthink ideology. The groupthink ideology is like, no, egalitarianism over everything. It's like, so we must be equal. It's like, well, we're not equal. Men are stronger than women. Well, we got to stop saying that out loud. We can't say that men are stronger than women. It's like, Yeah, you understand if you put these women boxers in with men, they're going to get their fucking ass kicked. Yeah, it doesn't matter. We need to put women in there with men together. We need to do that to dissuade the ideology that men are stronger than women. It's like, yeah, but it's just a biological necessity for the species to survive. It's like, no.
With the Trump example, I got it. There's a few individuals that are like, well, it's my job to not get Trump, to not get him in office. Got it. But with that stuff, we need to propagate the idea at all costs that everybody's exactly the same. Who says that, and what is their interest behind it?
So if it's generally people who work in academia who work away, so have some insulation from the real world. So you either work so let's say you became fantastically wealthy because of an idea that you had, and you live in Seattle or Palo Alto, and you're so wealthy that you're completely you don't understand the regular person. Yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah,
you're out of touch. Yeah. Nancy, Nancy Pelosi is a great example. Several instances of her saying things that are totally out of touch. AOC is another great example. So we're talking about people who grew up in academia. Academia generally is super far out of touch. Yeah. Right? You and I know that men suffer. We have programs based on men suffering. Yeah. You and I know that white men suffer. We just got canceled. Sorry. White men sometimes suffer as well. We know that that's a real thing. If you were to go to a university, I'm going to go to Berkeley. I have a PhD in psychology. I'd like to do a course called Why White Men Suffer. Is that okay? Can I do that course? What do you think? No. If I did Why Black Women Suffer, of course I'd get that course done immediately. But if I had a course called Why White Men Suffer, and then I went over that men are 9 times as likely to take their own life after they've been divorced, they're more likely to suffer from mental disorder, more likely to be attacked physically, more likely to die from industrial accidents, more likely to be left by their wife, and more likely to lose custody of their children, that they're more likely to be homeless, all these other things. If I were to express that, and I taught that in a college course, I would be laughed. I would lose tenure. I would be I would be kicked off. Yeah. I'd be hit in the head with a banana. There was no way they would let me do that because what happens is the real world is so out of touch with reality. The idea that U.S. military members are far more likely to take their own life because they're put in these situations where there's no women around and they feel hopeless. I can't talk about that because men cannot suffer. According to academia, men do not suffer. They cannot suffer. Men are a privileged class. The women and minorities are a protected class. So men cannot suffer. So because we ignore that whole idea completely, we separate ourselves 1 or 2, 3 deviations from reality. So when you look at people who are so this is going to be hyper wealthy Hollywood elitists. They don't know what the real world is like. This is going to be people who work in academia. They don't know what the world is like. This is going to be people who work in big tech. They don't know what the real world is like. And then people who work in government. They don't know what the world is like. And people who often work in the media. They don't really know what the world is like. They don't know. Again, taxes seem like you don't tax the rich enough. You need to tax the rich because they're greedy. And then you run a business and you're like, dude, I'm barely making it. I got to pay my fucking employees. You're kidding me. You really think I should be paying more in taxes? Bro, there is no fucking way I should be paying more in taxes. I pay so much in taxes, it's outrageous, bro. You're out of your mind. When you run a business, you're like, oh, I understand. These poor people don't understand money. That's what's going on here. They don't understand money because, again, they're detached from reality. They're in academia. They're in the media. They're in places like that.
But just them being detached from reality, what does them that explains a little bit why their ideas are a little woozy, but what is at the core, what is the spark that even gave them the idea to say, let's push this weird woke agenda that transgender women are real women and so on and so forth?
Read Marx and Engels. Just like the capital classes take in the bourgeoisie.
So you think that it was just a bunch of people in powerful positions, be it university, heads of universities, head of...
Let's share everything. Let's make everyone the same.
And they just read this and they were like, this is a great idea.
I read it. I think the same thing that infected Marx and Engels is the same thing that is infecting these people. It's like this necessity to share everything. The disparity of wealth. Like they think that the disparity of wealth is happening because the people at the top are greedy. I got news for you. Ready? Rich people do not hate poor people. Most rich people they aren't even aware that poor people exist. That's actually what's going on. Yeah. Tillman Fertitta went on with Ty Lopez one time, and Ty goes, hey, Tillman Fertitta, owner of the Houston Rockets. He goes, what is it that you would recommend that people do, that everyone out there can do in order to be able to protect their assets? And Tillman Fertitta goes, you never know what's going to come up in the future, so you need to have about $600 million in cash reserve in order to take advantage of future opportunities. And Ty's like, yo, bro, I don't think you understand. Because I used to be poor. I grew up around poor people. I'm aware of the existence of poor people. I go back home to Dallas and I take my friends out we go eat a burger, and they're still doing the same jobs they were doing before. And I am fully aware of the fact that we live in a country we live on a planet where if you make $32,000 a year, you're in the top 1% of wage earners on Earth. Yeah. Half the Earth's population lives on less than $5 a day. The top 10% of people, top 10%, the 10 wealthiest people in the world have as much money as the bottom 60% of people on this planet. I'm aware of the disparity of wealth. Some people see that and they're like, we need to do something to fix that. But unfortunately, it's the people who literally have the easiest lives. They're trust fund kids. They're people in academia. There's people in big tech, and there's people in the media, and the people they're the ones who are having the hardest time understanding what reality is. Yeah. And so the virus has infected them, and the virus of egalitarianism has affected them, not understanding the reason why conservatism works. And not in every case. I'm not a hyper conservative. I'm like a 5 being a moderate. I'm like maybe a 6 or a 7. I'm not that conservative. But I am a little bit more conservative than liberal. And by the way, I used to be liberal. Do you know what happened? The world happened. If you went back 30 years ago and you talked to a liberal and said, is it okay for men to wear a dress and go into the bathroom with your daughter? These liberals would have told you that is fucking ridiculous. Of course that's not okay. And what happened is the world kept what's called the Overton window. It kept shifting to the left, and I just got left behind. Yeah. And and now your values the same, and now I'm a conservative. Yeah, exactly. I didn't become a conservative. Yeah. I just kept my values from going to church and growing up in Texas. And next thing I know, I'm a conservative. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, that's essentially what happened. But like things have just gotten nuts. But the reason why they've got nuts is because they keep feeding into their own propaganda, and there's no one there to debate. You'll notice conservatives are far more likely to debate you on social media than liberals.
100%.
100 to 1. Unless we're talking about Jasmine Jafar or Destiny or certain guys like that, most liberals will not debate you. They are not, because it doesn't do well.
They know it makes no sense what they're saying.
Correct.
They know in just being confronted with logic, they can't make it. All they're doing is just based on ideology. Ideology is a self-perpetuating bubble. But once they're confronted with logic, they're like, oh, you're a bigot, or you're not respectful, you're transphobe, whatever.
If you ask me the question, what is a woman, and I'm a liberal, I'm going to be like, you're bigoted for asking the question.
Exactly.
Me not allowing you to ask the question, me basically taking away the freedom of discussion and censoring you for asking the question, there's a word for that. And the word is tyranny. The liberals call Republicans fascist. Republicans call liberals tyrannical, because they are tyrannical. You telling me that it's supposed to be okay for my child to go behind my back and get gender-affirming care without my consent, that is tyranny. I don't know how you don't see that.
I see it. That's the thing. Yeah. They see it, but they don't care. I actually think that probably 70-80% of people that are outspoken woke on social media, they're just doing that because they're scared of repercussion if they're, of course, right? This whole idea of like, it's not enough to not be racist. You have to be anti-racist, and you have to propagate, I'm not racist, you're not racist. Nobody actually is fucking racist that I know.
Racist would mean I hate people of other cultures, and I don't hate anyone of other cultures.
Exactly. But most people, they're just scared of saying something that they think is completely logical, complete fucking common sense.
Yes.
Because nowadays, like you said, it's moved so much to the left that unless you're super extreme left as well, or even more extreme, you're considered a far-right conservative or whatever, alt-right or whatnot.
And not only that, they're encouraged and they're rewarded by the social media algorithm for literally pandering to that. So there's a guy, God, I can't remember his name. He wears a beanie hat and he's always looking off to the side, reading some like woke shit. He's like half black, half white. Do you know what I'm talking about? Chris something. Fuck, I can't remember this guy's name. There's another guy named Will Hitchens, and all these guys do in their content is pander to women. And because they pander to women, what happened is they made one woman pandering video, whatever, because they got friend zoned by some girl. Yeah. And then when they made the woman pandering video,
positive reinforcement.
They got positive reinforcement because that girl they had a crush on who will never have sex with them. She will never have sex with you, bro. Just want to let you know, Chris, they'll never have sex with you. Because the woman that will never have sex with them liked the videos, like, oh my God,
that's my way back in.
That's my way, but yeah, they think that's awesome. And then the video went viral. Now, it didn't go viral on YouTube, and it didn't go viral on Twitter, because those are not, like, YouTube is woke, but they don't reward you for being woke on YouTube. They used to, but not so much anymore. but it is rewarded on Meta platforms, and it's very much rewarded on TikTok. And so they see that and they're like, yes. But what happens is now they're trapped. They can't make any content other than women pandering content.
100%.
They go, Will Hitchens can never make non-women pandering content. He's stuck now. I can make content about whatever. We just talk about Ukraine, and I can talk about economics, and I can talk about intersexual dynamics. And I know that what I'm saying is true. And I'll be honest with you. I'm going to tell you something else. There's words I won't say, and there's lines I won't cross on YouTube about things that I know to be true.
Of course.
Of course, you're the same way because it's bad for business. And we understand that it's bad for business. Here's the furthest I'll go. Ready? The real reason why pickup content, manosphere content, red pill content is being ratioed on social media. The real reason is because it's causing men who are minorities to vote Republican. That's the real reason.
Really? That's what you think?
Absolutely, yes. The manosphere is probably 30 or 40% African American, and the manosphere content is encouraging men to vote for Trump. 100%. There is no exception to this. There is not one single person you can find for me, red pill manosphere, who's a Kamala supporter. Not one.
Sure. But I think that connection, that's the reason, is far-fetched. It's very
maybe not pick up, but definitely for the red
pills. But what about Europe? They're not fucking voting. They don't have a right to vote in the US.
But they also...
It's still flagged there.
I still think it's still causing conservative men to consider, or liberal men to consider voting Republican.
I just think it definitely does, but I don't think that's the reason why it is being suppressed. I just think it's...
You think they're trying to protect women? You really think that?
Yeah, I think it's because the algorithm is picking up on certain words. They're like
women more than Instagram. Women, Instagram hates the shit out of women.
Yeah.
Dude, you don't believe me? Women, fucking 2014, they'd have a bikini picture. Instagram would let them become famous and get 9 million followers.
Yeah.
And now they take their fucking account away. No one hates women more than Instagram.
Good point.
I don't think for 1 second that Meta gives a fuck about protecting women. I think what they don't want is to lose this election. I think that's legitimate.
But then again, why does the whole idea about Europe?
But these countries are in the United States.
What do you mean?
These companies are in the United States. I'm saying...
they just have the same rules in Europe because, like, fuck it, we'll have them in the States as well.
But the thing is, have you noticed how our elections are bleeding into other countries?
Yeah, of course.
That's what's going on. I think that's part of the reason why. And I also think, in general, liberal men who would always have voted liberal before because they were disenfranchised, are now voting Republican because what used to be, in the 1960s, you were disenfranchised if you were a minority. In 2024, you're disenfranchised if you're a man.
Yeah.
If you're a man who doesn't get pussy,
yeah,
you're disenfranchised. That's who disenfranchised are. You're the bottom third of men who social media has decimated your dating life. Those men are now, dude, after watching what Andrew Tate did, if you're a progressive, how are you not terrified? He took over the fucking internet because people were not willing to have the conversation that he was willing to have. That conversation is what the real damage is not damaging to women. I think women, like, having kids and raising a family and being worshipped by their husband and like living a good life like that is not damaging to women.
Yeah.
I don't think we need to protect women from getting married and having kids. Sorry, it's just my opinion. I don't think we're doing this to protect women. I think the reason why we're doing this, again, is it's a political thing. I think it's causing men who would have normally voted progressive to start voting conservative. And I think that's the ultimate reason why I got demonetized, bro. I'm not controversial. No shit, I got demonetized.
On YouTube?
Me, bro, I got demonetized. All my friends are female, bro. I do a fucking animal rescue charity, and I got demonetized? That should tell you, bro.
What was the thing that got you demonetized? Did it tell you that?
No, they didn't tell me anything. They said reuse of content or something like that. Rollo Tomasi and Myron Gaines are on DHS watch list. You really think they should be on a DHS government watch list because of the stuff they said? No. What's happened is, who's the administration in charge? It's the liberals. The reason they're on a DH watch list is because they're causing men to consider voting Republican who would have never voted Republican. In the 2016 election, or 2000, when did Obama? In the 2008 election, when Obama became president, 95% of African Americans voted Democrat. That's not going to happen this time.
Yeah.
It isn't.
Yeah.
A lot of African American men, a disproportionately high number. You want another prediction? Here we go viral. An extremely high number of African American men in this next election are going to vote Republican, and it's going to terrify the progressives. And it's going to happen because of content like what Myron Gaines and Rollo Tomasi and people like that made. That's what's going to happen. And when that happens, you're going to see, oh shit, that's why they banned this content, because it's going to just it's one thing to go get coal miners in West Virginia to start voting for Trump. It's another thing to get people who had always traditionally for the last 100 years voted Democrat to start voting Republican. That'll destroy a political party right there. That's just my hypothesis.
Hey, real quick, gotta interrupt this epic podcast episode with Michael Sartain. Well, guess what? Michael Sartain is making most of his income from online coaching. I'm making most of my income from online coaching. I made over $10 million from my own online coaching businesses. It allowed me to travel the world, date my dream woman, build a family, give back to my mom and dad, go travel the world to the most amazing locations like Tokyo, Los Angeles, New York City, everywhere. I could go anywhere in the entire world and do whatever I want. And if you want that too, come talk to us. We have a free, literal step-by-step call where you hop on a call with me and my team directly. We'll tell you exactly how to build your coaching, how to build your course, how to get your first clients, how to build a literal automated client delivery system that continuously gets you clients. Our beginner clients are making $3,000 to $5,000 a month. Our intermediate clients are making $10,000 to $20,000 a month. And our advanced clients are making $100,000 to $500,000 a month. Wherever in that range you're falling, we can help you. How? Book a call with us. There's a link down in the description below. Open that up now. Go book that call once you're done with this wonderful podcast episode, and let's make it happen. Talk to you soon. If that is true, and I believe to a degree, maybe not as extreme, but I believe to a degree, my question to you is, how can that be fixed? And by fixed, I don't mean how can the Republicans get more voters? I'm saying, how can we turn this back into a plain, even field? Because right now it's not plain.
Yeah.
Right now, all the tech companies are very, very left.
Yes.
And they're exactly, except for Twitter, and that's probably also one of the reasons why Musk even bought Twitter in the first place. But the problem is, like, even if there will be a Republican administration, the companies will still be left.
Yes.
They will now just bash against the existing administration and will try to get back the left in the next election. What is going to fix that? Is it more government? Is it more rules from the government?
Got it. Yeah.
But if we do that, now we're opening the fucking door to the government at all times trying to get reelected and whatnot. So it's a fucking zero-sum game.
The answer is it won't get fixed. The answer is it's going to get worse.
No, fuck.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Like, people want to... I'm reading Ray Kurzweil's The Singularity is Nearer, and if you ever read Steven Pinker, The Enlightenment Now, the world is going in one direction, and that is technology is going to have a bigger and bigger prevalence in your life, my life, everyone's life. And what's going to happen is you're going to have an easier existence, and so from the overall standpoint, suffering will be decreased, so the world is better.
Mm.
But you might also have, with that, a population collapse, right? And you're going to have a greater disparity of wealth, and you're also going to have woke ideologies taught to your kids, even if you don't want them to be taught to. So from that standpoint, it will be worse. That's just where we're going, and I don't see any possibility of stopping it. There's the idea that you think that AI isn't going to take over, your head is deep in the sand. AI is going to take over. Whoever controls that AI is going to control significant narratives. I absolutely think things are going to get worse. I'll tell you funny. So we haven't talked about my company at all. Men of Action, part of the reason why I built it was because social media, like, dude, I used to go out with Mystery back in 2007 and 2008, and it was incredible because you'd go to a bar, and you know what you'd see at bars? You guys are never going to believe this. You know what you'd see at bars in 2007 and 2008? Attractive women who weren't fat. It was crazy. You want to know why? Because those women wanted validation. And the only place they could get validation was going out. Instagram fucking destroyed that. And this is one of the things, like the cold approach techniques that I learned from back then, they're still great and they're very useful, but they're actually more useful for me at Ty Lopez's event, talking to dudes to try to do business deals, and they are trying to talk to women. If I want to talk to women, you know what I do? I throw a huge fucking party, and then I invite a bunch of girls on Instagram, and my Instagram looks baller so that they all want to come, and then they all come to the party, and there's like 7 girls for every guy. But if I go to a bar, it's just dudes and fat women. There's nothing. So the world changed. And I saw the world change, and I was like, man, is anything ever going to make this go back? When I started MOA, I started it because I saw how difficult it was for this bottom third of men to participate in short-term dating at all. Yeah. And dating apps are just getting progressive. If anyone knows, whenever a new dating app comes on, attractive women will jump on it for like a few minutes. They'll get fucked by Chad Thundercock and Brock the bartender. They'll get fucked by those guys over and over again. The guys will never call them back, and they'll be like, fuck this dating app. Then they'll get off, and all that's left on the dating app are girls with mental disorders or girls with kids. That's all that's left. And so there's a cycle for all these dating apps. So the dating apps have made women think that they can get hundreds of men to commit to them when they can't. And OnlyFans has taken these women that wouldn't have been sex workers and turned them into sex workers, which then takes them out of the normal dating market. You see what's going on here? And so things have got progressively worse. And so when I built the company where it's like, hey, social media is a great way to kind of supplement your dating life along with going to the gym and all this other stuff. Bro, it's like I was ahead of the curve. Like now it's like you have social media or you are fucked. You are completely fucked if you don't have, dude, right now, if you're watching this and you do not have a fully fleshed out Instagram, stop asking. I have so many guys come to me as like, yeah, I want to get better at dating, but these women keep using me for my money. I was like, let me see your IG. It's like, oh, I saw what you said about IG and I'll work on that later. But what do I do now? It's like, well, fix your Instagram. It's like, okay, but I'll fix my Instagram later. But like right now, what I'm trying to do is do this with this girl. She said she was going to come visit me, but she wanted me to send her money. I was like, why don't you fix your Instagram? Yeah, I'll fix my Instagram later, Michael. I'll do that later. I'm like, bro, you don't understand. And every day it's getting worse. And I know it's getting worse because I have a good Instagram and I make a good deal of money and I have a decent brand. And I'm not saying this to brag. I'm doing nothing and women are throwing themselves at me. Dude, it is crazy. I mean, you've probably seen this too. Like as you grow, you show any level of competency. I know in your IG, you're out snowboarding and you're out having fun. And I know, that if women take 1 second to look at your IG, every other dude in the club is just fucked. They're fucked. They have no chance against you. Yep. And it's like you see this and you're like, dude, I did all this work to build this business and I'm getting a lot of attention from women. The average dude is screwed. He has no chance against us. And who started it? The guy who literally started this was Bilzerian, who's one of my good friends. And it's true. I was on the phone with Dan one time. He goes, yeah, man, we can talk about Instagram if you want, but the Instagram was a video game and I beat it. He's literally how he says it. He goes, Instagram was a video game and I won. I beat the game. I got to the final boss and I won. And it's true, dude. And even today, I've been to Dan's house before and women are bringing other women to Dan still. And it's hard for people to grasp that. And it's not because I'm fucking some Casanova or I'm super smooth or I'm super good looking or whatever. The reason why is because I have so much social proof. It's so much pre-selection that I show on social media and I can scale it to millions of women. Yeah. That's why this is happening. And if you don't understand what I just said, you are completely screwed. I would have told you 5 years ago you were partially screwed. Today, you are completely screwed if you do not take your social media and your branding seriously. And now it's not just with dating, it's your business. 100%. If you don't do it now, you are completely screwed.
We see this all the time where doctors, lawyers, dentists, they come to us and they're like, well, how does the social media work? I heard about it. Mate, this has been 15 years you've been hearing about it. You're a little late.
I have my email list. I just blast out to my email list, and then I'll get all the clients.
It's so fucking key. If you're going to a company, you know how I know? Whenever I want to go to a restaurant with my girlfriend, I let her pick. What does she do? Do you think she Googles it? Do you think she goes to fucking Yelp? No. She goes on Instagram
to look at the food.
To look at the food. She's like, this place looks great. Look, they have a bartender. They're wearing fucking bow ties or whatever. And she wants to go there. When we went to Japan, what fucking place did we go to? The ones that got suggested by the Instagram algorithm of some guy, some cocktail dude. And we're like, I can't believe we're at the place. It was just a random cocktail place. But it blew up because they understood one thing. People see it. It's not that social media makes it easier. It's not that social media pushes you to more people. It's that when people look you up, right? They hear about your company. They see your company maybe on SEO, Google. They will look you up on social media. And if you don't have a presence, it's weird. It's like, what's wrong with that? What are they trying to hide? So if you're a business owner, I'm not even saying that if you're an influencer or a coach, well, then of course you got to do it. But just a business owner, if you have a boring brick and mortar business, you need to be on social media. I'm not saying you need to have hundreds of thousands of followers. I'm saying put fucking content on there once a fucking week. Just have the person that is thinking about coming to you see who you are, see what you do.
Yes.
And especially if you have an online business, as an online coach, as an entrepreneur, as a digital consultant, as a fucking digital marketer, whatever it is, you need to have social media, right? Back in the days, like hundreds of years ago, the number one predictor of wealth was how much land did you own?
Yes.
Because land equals resources.
Yeah.
Nowadays, it's how much attention can you get?
Yes.
How many people are looking at your stuff? The more people you have looking at your stuff, the easier it will be for you to sell stuff. The more future-proof your business is. We're at Marcel Klein's place. All that Marcel does is just post to social media all the time. People see him and they're like, wow, I want your life. How much is your program? $16K. Sold. Like, we've been eating shit with cold traffic for 3 years until we figured it out.
Yeah.
Now we're making multiple 7 figures a year just from cold traffic, meaning people see an ad.
Yeah.
They buy the same fucking day.
Yeah.
But it took me a very long time to build up
They want your life.
Exactly.
They want
It
your
took me a
life.
very long time to build the sales team to be able to convert cold traffic. And now you throw social media on top of that, it's a fucking nuclear explosion because now I got a kick-ass sales team. They can convert someone that just heard about me a day before.
Yeah.
Now you add social media on top of that, it's fucking insane. So if your sales team isn't a full sales team full of killers like mine, be good at fucking social media. You don't need even a good sales team.
Yeah.
You can have your grandma fucking taking calls, taking their credit cards. That's what you need to do nowadays. You've been so hard on that 10 years ago already. I remember when we hung out at Owen's place in LA. That was way before Instagram was even something tangible. It was like fucking Snapchat. Instagram would still do 4x4 photos and stuff like that. You were already about this, like, yo, social media. You were one amongst the very first people that did that. People are waking up to the idea. And if you're still not using it, you're going to be fucked. You're fucked already, but you're going to be fucked with every consecutive year to come.
It's so crazy. Your CPM, your cost per client, your cost per lead is so low when you build a brand.
It's insane.
And then the other thing for me is because I've had these people who've been watching me for so long, I'll have a sales guy and he's like, yeah, I'm having trouble with this guy. And I'll just jump on the Zoom call, closed, immediately, closed. Ryan Pineda was telling me something similar. It's like, now I can help close the dude. Like, I become the best sales guy on my sales team just from being able to do that. But I didn't realize how crazy it was. Two things made me realize. One was going to the Playboy Mansion and seeing how every girl was super nice to me because they were trying to figure out how the fuck I got in there. Hanging out with Blazarian and seeing women like literally fight to get inside, screaming at the door. That was a kind of an eye-opening moment for me. And the other thing was girls who saw my posts on social media coming up to me and were visibly nervous to talk to me. And I was like, man, dude, this is not difficult dating now. Like I go on dates now with girls and it's just I don't have to gauge. I don't need to look for IOIs. They watched my last 20 stories.
They've been warmed up already.
I don't need to. I know how this date is going to end. I'm not confused.
Yeah.
And I just don't know how other guys can't grasp this. But here's the problem. They're discouraged by what we said. And what you need to do, there's this mid-tier level of fame that didn't exist even 20 years ago. That this mid-tier level of fame, like we're not as famous as like Kai Cenat or Aiden Ross or Patrick Bet-David. Those would be like mid-tier levels of fame. Or more people famous than that, like Joe Rogan, or the most famous people like The Rock. Yeah. We're not anywhere near that. Like I just want to be as famous as like the city's defense, like the district attorney of the city. You know what I'm saying? Like I want to be like a 2 or a 3 level of famous.
Yeah.
Even if you're a 1, you can be famous enough in your city to where every restaurant, when you go there, the chef comes out to greet you. Yeah. It's not that hard to do. You can pick 2 restaurants, go there all the time, take a different beautiful girl that you're with, and then tell the chef, hey man, this food was incredible. Is there any way we can talk to the chef? And come introduce, every time we come out, you introduce the chef to like 4 or 5 beautiful women. Every time you show up, the chef comes out to greet you. I've done that. Yeah. Mastro's in Las Vegas. I did that at STK in Las Vegas. You come out there, chef greets you. It looks you like such a player. Yeah. And then you can get to the point where on social media, every girl in the city that's attractive, that's in the scene, has at least seen your face. That's like a 1.5 on the fame scale. Yeah. But now you're not even dating anymore. When I say you're not dating, I'm like, you don't have to ask girls on dates. Yeah. You literally just throw a party and every girl in the city shows up to your party. Yeah. That's not that hard to do. Really. There's lower middle class of fame. There's a mid-tier level of fame that is so easily accomplishable now with very little effort and very little money. But if you do have money, you can get there so quick. Yeah. Dude, I run ads, so I spend, however much a month on ads. And when I went to Ty Lopez's place, I couldn't walk 5 feet without somebody coming to take a picture with me. Yeah. And I was with these girls, and the girls were confused because they didn't know who I was. And I was like, fuck, we never run ads to women. We only run ads to men. Damn it, bro. Like,
I was going to say, yeah. I used to run ads to women all the time.
Yeah.
When I was in Kiev, I spent like $25 a day.
Yeah.
Just on ads.
Yeah.
And it was so funny. I would write girls on Tinder, and they're like, "I've seen you before."
I don't know what it is.
Yeah. I would have girls come to my parties. I would have girls come to a date with me, and they're like, "Somehow I know you, and I don't know what I recognize your face, and I wanted to come and meet you." And then when you DM me, I'm like, "Okay, yeah, sure, why not?" I used to do that, and I love what you said about this lower middle class of fame. That's where you have all the upsides of fame. You get recognized, people are pretty warmed up to you, but none of the downsides.
I don't need security.
Exactly, you don't need security. You don't have people making hate videos on you or anything like that. You're just in the perfect fucking sweet spot, and we have viral templates that we're giving our clients. Yeah. So here's 30 templates. use those. These are your first 30 posts with extreme likelihood of you going viral. That's all you really need to do. And you get, like, even if you just get 5,000 views, people also, they get so confused nowadays. They're like, well, unless my video gets 5 million views, nobody cares. 5,000 people is a lot of fucking people. Go to visualizecrowds.com and have it show you 5,000 people in a single fucking room. That's a lot of fucking people that now know about your business, know about your coaching offer, know about your fucking content. It's, again, attention is the number one currency. Gary Vee said that already fucking 15 years ago. Funny enough, Gary Vee's not even that relevant anymore, but damn, he was really fucking right.
Do you want to know why Gary Vee had a little trouble? And if he's watching this, I'm a huge fan of his. I've read all of his books, but Gary Vee missed this one spot. You know what it was? Yeah, man, just do things that you really resonate with you, that you believe in. Just be yourself and be authentic on camera. Fuck that. When I have known forever that this whole thing is fake. Social media is fake, and I'm okay with that. Social media is fake, but the fucking money is real, bro. Social media is fake, and I'm okay with that. The world is not fair, and I'm okay with that, dude. When I was listening to Gary Vaynerchuk, and I was like, Gary, you don't recognize you have 10 million followers. You can say anything, and it goes viral. If you read and again, a big fan of Alex Hormozi, but Alex Hormozi sometimes gives these, he'll have these tweets or these little message boards, and it'll be like, waking up every day and trying your hardest is the only thing that gets you business, whatever. It's just it's so trite. It's just so blah. 100,000 likes. And you're like, bro, if I said something like that, no one would give a fuck. Yeah. And Gary Vee is telling me to say stuff like that. No, I'm not going to say stuff like that. You know what I'm going to say? Women are like puppies. When puppies shit on the floor, you don't sit there and try to pass laws to get rid of puppies. You don't go on YouTube saying, fuck these puppies. We need to hold them accountable. They're puppies. They don't know what they're doing. Stop letting the whores bother you. Tweet that. Thousands of likes. Go look right now on my Twitter. Thousands of likes from tweeting that, right? And it was like, I have to do, Gary, you're wrong. I understand what you're saying, Gary, but you're wrong. I have to do something. I have to shake things up. I can't be like you, Gary. I'm not as famous as you, Gary.
It's the whole idea. If you want to make it, don't copy what the people on the top are doing. Copy what the people that are on their way to the top.
On the way to the top, yeah.
Right? Exactly. Like you said, Gary, you could be like, believe in yourself. We get 1,000. And everybody's like, genius. When again, same with you. I love Alex Hormozi, but I'm like, some of the stuff he says is so fucking basic knowledge.
But it's white belt.
Exactly.
He's teaching white belts.
And people are like, oh my God, you're such a genius. I'm like, well, yeah, but it's fucking obvious, isn't it?
Now, he did take a chance with the whole, I don't make my bed every day. I don't do a cold plunge in the morning. Because you know why he did that? Because he's going after Wim Hof. He's going...
all the Jordan Peters.
He's going after fucking Jocko Willink. He's kind of nudging them a love it.
Yeah.
But then he also took a chance when he's like, hey guys, I'm on TRT now. I'm like, bro... Love you, bro. Alex, I hope we meet someday. I love you, dude. Huge fan. I would love to.
And
Alex, bro, you just started TRT. Okay.
But then he did come out and say he's always taking it.
Yeah, good.
Video, he said, I've been taking it for years.
Good. Because you saw Greg O'Gallagher just went off on him.
Oh, yeah?
Because Greg was like, dude, I'm sick of these. Because Greg doesn't take, Greg, when you look at Greg, you're like, oh man, this guy's on steroids. If you see Greg, he's just fit. He's not huge.
Yeah.
I believe Greg O'Gallagher's not on steroids.
He's got really good genetics.
Yes.
He talked to me about it years ago when we met in Miami, and he already was in insane shape.
Yeah.
He's like, look, man, I got really good genetics too.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie.
Yeah,
but still, he's not on roids.
But Greg is pissed because he's not on roids, and he's being compared to people who are on roids.
Yeah.
That's why the first thing I did when I got on TRT was tell people I was on TRT, because I just don't want to get in this discussion. I'm not going to run off and be like, all natty, bro. The only thing that's natty is the threesome I had last night. That's just the only thing. I'm not going to sit there and say, I'm going to tell you, I'm on TRT. You know what happened to me? I did deadlift, you did the back, and then I had sex with this girl in a fucking beanbag, and I fucked my back up. That's truth. That actually did happen. And because you want to know what happens? The TRT made me want to have more sex, and it made my muscles bigger, but it doesn't fix my back and my knees and my hips. I'm still 47, so I'll still fuck myself up, even though I'm doing this stuff, right? But I didn't want to get caught up in that. But it's so funny when guys are saying, anyway, go back to your original point. When I would listen to Gary Vee or I would listen to Alex Hormozi say something that was just like, bro, if I said that, no one would care at all. And then I say stuff that's crazy and it gets some views. And I feel like it feels very much like Chad Thundercock giving dating advice. You know what I'm saying? Just be yourself, bro. Yeah. By the way, another guy I'm a huge fan of, which is Chris Williamson. He actually has a video where he goes, just be yourself. Not because it's going to make more people like you. It won't. But because that's the only way you can authentically know, blah, 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 whatever he said. And I think that what he's saying in a vacuum is actually true. But the problem is Chris Williamson is a male model telling men to just be themselves. and he doesn't. I don't know if he sees what he's doing. That he's in the date. He whether or not he knows it, he's in the dating space. He's in the intersexual dynamics, evolutionary psychology space. He certainly would not say that he's in the manosphere, but he is in the manosphere, whether or not he knows it. And he's getting criticized on these evolutionary psychology criticism videos, just like I am. I'm in the video, and so is he. We're both getting criticized for this. In these situations, when he says, just be yourself, it's like they lost. Remember we talked about the guys in academia who lost touch with reality? Yeah. The really good-looking YouTube streamer who makes $1 million a month, who has women throwing themselves at him, giving dating advice. He's lost touch with reality, and he's telling men to just, you need to be more vulnerable and be yourself and open up to these women. I'm like, no, dude, you can be vulnerable and open up to women because you're a 10 and you're rich. Yeah. The homeless guy can't be vulnerable to women, bro. The 5'4" Indian dude can't be vulnerable to women in the beginning. He needs to look like a fucking killer in the beginning to generate attraction. You've already got attraction. That's why you don't know the difference. Women don't want men to buy them flowers. They want women women don't want men to buy them flowers. They want men they're attracted to buy them flowers. Women don't want men to be vulnerable. They want men they're attracted to be vulnerable. When you look like Iman Ghazi and you look like Chris Williamson, women are already attracted to you. You can be vulnerable and you can be yourself. The rest of us don't look like you, bro, and we can't do that. And that's the thing. You have to remember that. And that's one of the reasons why I think my company quadruples in size every year is because I still remember what it was like to be poor and have women reject me. And I go to that place whenever I talk to my clients and I don't give them this, oh, what do you do? It's like, oh, you just do what I do. Throw a bikini competition for $130,000 and have 700 women show up. Like, that's what I don't tell my clients to do that. That's what I do. Yeah. That's not what I tell my clients to do. I'll just host Swimsuit USA like I do every summer, every fall, and you could have 75 girls compete for your attention. That's what I do. That's not what I'm going to tell you to do. But because I know better, and that's the problem. Is like some of these guys are out of touch. You'll notice. I've seen you post pictures with girls on your IG. You've seen the content creators like, you should never post pictures with girls. What the fuck? You know why they're doing that? Because they're good looking guys, and that hurts their game. Yeah. And what happened? They fucked a girl, and the girl's like, I don't like that you post those pictures with those girls.
They get the wrong confirmation.
Sorry, Michael. A hot girl told me to not post pictures with hot girls. Therefore, pre-selection isn't real. Pre-selection hurts you. You guys notice how the people who tell you to not look like a player online are always really good-looking men or women who fuck players? You notice that? You ever notice that? Yeah. You ever notice how the really unattractive dude who has sex with hot women is not telling you to not look like a player? Because the player motif isn't bad. Yeah. Go ask Austin Dunham. Go ask Fitix Fearless. Go ask well, you can't ask him because he's passed away, but Alan Roger Curry. They talked about this. The player motif actually helps you because it generates attraction. I saw this one comment. This woman said, I can't stand when a guy looks like a player because he looks gay. And I'm like, but you call him a player because he's with women. Yeah. Do you not like, go? I wrote her. I was like, hey, take a second and go back and read the sentence you just wrote. If a guy looks like a player, he's getting women. Do you not see that? Is that part missed to you? But no, when a man gets a lot of women, she's losing power in the interaction, and she doesn't like that, so she needs to denigrate him. Of course, that's the whole reason why, guys. If women are complaining to you about something you're doing, it's because it's working.
Yeah. I noticed that too. Is like every time I would be on a date with a beautiful girl, she would bring it up that there was other photos with other women out there. And it's not just that she's bringing it up because she doesn't like it. She's bringing it up to fucking test me. Yes. Just to see, how does he react? Is he really as cool as he looks like when he has all this fucking epic lifestyle on there? Because I'm just about to go home with this guy because of the epic fucking lifestyle, but I need to make sure he's fucking real and he's not just fucking faking it. Now, most men, especially when they're good looking, they never have the understanding of the social dynamics because they never fucking needed this. So now they're seeing it as they're taking it as face value.
Every interaction, they skip step one.
Exactly.
Step one for you and me is build attraction. For them, they are 6'3" Australian with six-pack abs and tattoo sleeves. They skipped step one in the beginning of their interaction, and so they want Sandeep from India, who's 5'5" and has no muscle mass. He skips step 1 too. Apparently, I don't understand. No, he needs to build attraction. Yeah. Sorry, Sean, but Chad Thundercock needs to understand that Sandeep needs to build attraction,
and that's exactly also the same in the business context too. Is there's when you listen to Gary Vee, I love Gary Vee, same as you. One of the biggest influences on my life, but then at the same time, I would never buy mentoring from him, for example, because he would tell me this watered down stuff that just wouldn't fucking work. Yeah. Because he's way too far ahead. Plus, I also believe once you're at a certain size, you can't say certain things because you need to be whitewashed enough for everything.
Yeah.
You got like fucking consultants around you. You got fucking people on your fucking staff. They're like, well, Gary, let's do a little bit more of this. You're beautiful no matter what stuff. That's good. That's really, really good. So your message becomes so watered down that it's too watered down to even be applicable.
Yeah.
And that's exactly the same. That's exactly the same thing why RSD became so fucking big, because they were the first ones that were not the fucking GQ article, like 3 bow ties that women will find you unbelievable in, They were just like, shut the fuck up, go out, bro, every fucking day. And the funny thing is, because we also talked about this earlier with content and with left versus right, there's a real need to have this nonsense, this is what you have to do kind of fucking advice that is not watered down, that is not forced into some sort of political correctness, that is just fucking real. Because we've talked like, all these tech companies are pushing down all these leftist agendas. Well, who's the greatest podcaster in the world?
Yeah.
The fucking Joe Rogan, that the whole fucking space is trying to paint the picture of like he's this alt-right dude. No, he's a fucking common sense guy.
Yeah, Joe
Rogan
is not conservative.
He's not conservative.
Joe Rogan,
normal
absolutely. If you guys think Joe Rogan's a conservative, go watch the video of him explaining climate change to Candace Owens.
Yeah,
it's incredible. And all these Republicans are like, I can't believe you did this. And Candace Owens has no response for him. Because Joe Rogan is a moderate. What a moderate looks like to a liberal is, because a moderate uses logical terms and understands science, liberals see a moderate as a hyper-conservative, and that's essentially the problem. Liberals like to say, well, we use climate science in order to prove that there's climate change. So the climate change. And so they'll use science when it helps them there, but then when we express to them, hey, men and women are different, and here's the science to show that, then all of a sudden science is bigoted and racist.
Yeah, exactly.
They go, so which is it, bro? Like, I don't understand. Is science bigoted or racist? Like, evolutionary psychology, well, the reason why I spend so much time reading evolutionary psychology, the right does not like evolutionary psychology because of natural selection. It goes against the creation stories in the Quran and the Bible. And so a lot of people on the right don't like evolutionary psychology. People on the left don't like evolutionary psychology because it defines clear gender roles in our past. They don't have to be the same way now, but in our past. The median man the median man desires as many different sexual partners as the top 1% of women. Men desire more sexual variety than women do, period. Yeah. And there's reasons for this, and you can read Evolution of Desire and several other books that describe it. But now that we've got science involved, oh, shit, now it becomes a problem. If I'd say before, it's like, yeah, I don't really want to date a woman who's been with a lot of dudes before we get married. Women are like, dude, why are you so insecure? Don't you want a woman? You just want to control women. And then the GSS comes out with a survey showing that women that had more women who cheated in a marriage had 230% more sexual partners before they were married than women who didn't cheat. Now I've brought science involved. Oh, fuck. Well, I can't argue with them anymore. Canceled,
you're big,
ratioed, bigoted. That's what happens because I can't argue anymore because it's like what I'm saying is based in reality and logic. By the way, I go both ways with this. I also argue against flat earthers. I also argue against moon landing deniers. I argue against a bunch of other people. You see, most people on my side of the political aisle are pro-Russia and anti-Ukraine, and you heard me at the beginning of this whole thing. A lot of people right now are listening to this are super confused. They're like, wait a second, all the Republicans I know hate Ukraine. I don't understand. What is Michael Sartain doing? I am not going to be defined by groupthink.
That's the next thing.
I'm going to use logic to come to the things that I understand. You and I, like, if we were to discuss intersexual dynamics in dating, because you and I have had so many positive experiences with women, I know you and I are going to disagree on basically nothing. Mm-hmm. Because we live in the real world. Yeah. We're not detached from reality. Yeah. We'll go out and meet a girl who doesn't know who we are, and she's beautiful, and she wants to come home with us. That is not the reality for 99% of men. But because you and I have done that, we know if you and I were to share notes, hey, man, I walked into a club with a fucking gorgeous woman, and another gorgeous woman came up and talked to me. You're not going to be like, that's not true, Michael. The girl I had sex with the other day said that guys who are with girls look like players and they look gay. You're not going to say that because you know the truth. You've done the same thing. Yeah. So you know that that's true no matter what wokey nonsense. By the way, you guys whenever you hear the words insecure or whatever in the comments, you know that whatever's being said is probably true.
Woke?
Yeah. Whatever they're saying, guys, are probably worse. Like, who hurt you? This is immature, or this looks like high school stuff. Whenever you see those in the comments, then you know that the content is probably accurate.
Yeah, the thing is, too, you brought up something very interesting. It's this whole fucking group thinking of, like, left versus right, red versus blue. Yeah. It's always the same. It's like, people want to be part of a fucking team.
Sure.
And that innately is already messing up your pursuit of truth. Yeah. Because The right has some crazy dumb ideas, and the left has some crazy fucking dumb ideas. So the moment you're subscribing yourself to one, you're fucking dumb. What you need to do instead is you need to find the nuance and pick the truths from both sides.
So both sides can hate you. And
exactly.
that's what happens.
So both sides can fucking hate you. So the left is going to think you're a right-wing activist. The right's going to think you're some woke person. The truth is, you got to use your fucking brain. You got to use your fucking brain. You got to find the truth that is the closest to the actual objective truth. You got to subscribe to that. And you got to be willing to change your fucking mind.
Yes.
Once you're shown proof of the contrary. I was a vegetarian for 12 fucking years.
Yeah.
Okay? 12 fucking years. I've had the exact issues that you had. Bloated belly, small muscles, went to the gym for almost 10 fucking years.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, I stopped progressing. I didn't know why. The whole time, and dude, I had thousands of videos where I'm like, I'm vegetarian, by the way. I think vegetarianism is great. It's healthy for you, yada, yada, yada. From one day to the other, I started eating meat. And not just a little bit. I started eating fucking 450 grams of steak, 450 grams of chicken per day. That's 2 pounds of fucking meat every single day for the last 3 years. My testosterone, fucking 9x testosterone. Yeah. I worked harder than ever before. I had way higher sex drive than ever before. More focus. And my fucking muscles started blowing up. When I got clothes that were in my Ukrainian apartment sent to me 1.5 years later, I couldn't fucking fit in there anymore. My fucking t-shirts were too big. Too small. And the insane part was, I had no problem saying, hey guys, I changed my mind. I'm not vegetarian anymore. Meat eating is great. I fucking love it. Yeah. Most people can't fucking do that because they intertwine their entire identity in the left-wing thinking, in right-wing thinking. And when they're shown, like you said, science, like fucking facts, as true as gravity, they're like, well, fuck. But I'm a Republican, but I'm a lefty. My whole identity, who am I now? Yeah. The problem is you cannot identify yourself with a certain fucking groupthink propaganda. The only real thing you gotta identify yourself is the fucking truth.
Yes.
And your life, in one way or the other, philosophically speaking, has to be devoted to the pursuit of truth.
Yes.
You want to make a lot of money? Find out what actually makes you fucking money, which is sales. Okay? There's so many people out in business. The funniest fucking thing is sales coaching offers of I call this the ethical sales, right? It's all fucking like motherfucker. Okay? Sales. Without, it's all about just love and fucking kumbaya. We're dancing around a fucking fire singing kumbaya. Sales. No, all right? Sales is, you got to find objections. You got to handle the objections. And so you know what? Sometimes you got to push people a little bit. But you know how many people we hard sold that came to us half a year, a month, a year later saying, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for not taking no for an answer. Yes. I'm so fucking happy. I have a thriving business. I'm going fucking viral. And I was a fucking pussy, but I was on a sales call with you or your team, and they fucking closed me. That's an example of pursuit of truth. You want to make money, you got to get fucking good at sales.
You have to get good. You want to do hard at it. Yeah.
Yeah. You want to get girls. It's not about being yourself, bro. Like the beautiful model says, it's about fucking not taking shit. It's about fucking going after what you want. It's about getting fucking, maximize your looks, maximize your social media, and none of that fucking washed down fucking crap. Yeah. The only real ideology you got to subscribe to is the pursuit of fucking truth.
Yes. Yeah. And then the other part, like you said before, so I'm going to piss off both sides right now. Ready?
Do it.
There are studies that show where there is dual gun ownership in a neighborhood, when they have more than one firearm in the neighborhood, those are some of the safest neighborhoods in the country. Okay? It's pretty obvious.
Oh, shit.
Right?
Yeah.
So that people against the Second Amendment, they have no argument against that. And then they talk about all the gun crime that happens in the south side of Chicago. Well, that's not legal gun ownership, right? So now all the people on the right are like, yeah, Michael's right. Okay, ready? Your car is registered. Your home is registered. We need a gun registry in this country so that we can keep it out of the hands of people with mental illness. Now the people on the right are like, wait a second. I thought Michael was a Republican. Why would he say that? Because it's obvious. There should be a registry on firearms. There should be. I don't understand why we have an issue with this. It's not that big of a deal. I'm not sitting up I'm not the David Koresh trying to house up in Waco, Texas, trying to shoot the FBI. That's not what's going on here, okay? You should be able to register your guns, and at the same time, you should be able to own as many guns as you want. Just like I can own as many cars as I want, but I have to have insurance for my cars for some reason. And by the way, I'm far more likely to kill someone with my car than a gun. Mm-hmm. And that's you see how there's a little bit of nuance there.
Yeah.
Ready? I'm politically conservative. But I do have a problem with the number of women in this country who use abortion as almost like a, what's it called? Like a trophy. They're like having abortion parties. They're so happy. They've had multiple abortions. There's some study I saw that in something in Manhattan that the number of women that have had 4 or more abortions like outrageously high. So again, at the same time, I do think women should have a right to choose, but also I think men should have a say in it. So I'm not against abortion, but at the same time, I think when people are doing it too much, we're having population issues, and it's going to get to a point where you consistently have abortions over and over again. You're not going to be fertile later on in life, which who knows? From a Darwinian perspective, that might be a good thing that you can have kids. I don't know, but what I'm saying is there's a nuanced way to look at this. And my favorite thing that I ever heard was Joe Rogan say, no one in the government is going to tell me that my daughter, if she was raped, has to carry her rapist child. I'm sorry. Ethically, logically, morally, that makes sense to me also. So there's a nuance there.
Yeah.
But what do we see instead? It's like, it's a woman's choice. You're a bigot. Women's reproductive care. And then the other side is like, you're a baby killer. I'm like, there's some place in the middle that we can come to and kind of understand. And now I've just made both sides hate me.
Exactly. And that's the fucking sad part. Now, instead of being praised as, hey, actually, you got some good points. He really figured out the nuances. Now both sides fucking hate you. And that's the issue. I see that in the U.S. more than anywhere else, gotta say, because you guys got a 2-party system.
Yes.
I'm from Austria. We don't have a 2-party system.
We have a 2-party system, and we have money in government.
Yeah.
That's the other issue. Around election season, all the ads, like right now, like we talked about before, we're having a hard time. We're having to bid against the Harris administration to get our ads out to like viable buyers of our product.
Yeah.
Because the people who vote also have like a mid-level of income.
Of course.
Or high level of income. And that's who we want. Those are the good leads.
Yeah.
And we can't get to them.
You guys running any ads in Europe?
Let me ask. I don't know.
Because that would be interesting. We do US as well, because everybody loves US. You guys got great buying power. But
I know we do. I 10% of my clients are from Germany.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah,
like 50%. We're doing 50% of ads in Europe. It's insane. In fact, we're doing super well in Scandinavia for whatever reason. When I was at Ty Lopez's mastermind in Helsinki, that was funny. I saw him in Helsinki on his stories. I'm in Helsinki, typical Ty, and I'm like, cool. I'll go to this fucking mastermind. It's $500 for like an hour. I show up. I'm in the elevator. And there's like 10 other guys that are riding to the seminar room up the elevator. And this one guy's like, oh, you're the guy from the ads. And then everyone in the elevator is like, oh, yeah, I've seen your fucking ads. I'm like, oh, all right. We do spend a lot in Scandinavia, apparently. It's really, really funny. And also same there, you have this sort of celebrity effect once people see you. Here's what I'd be super interested in is like, how much longer that celebrity effect, just because you're in this like little screen, like your little face is popping up on the fucking screen, how many more generations will actually give a damn? I actually think that we still have this celebrity effect when we see someone on screen because we grew up with TV. And when you were on TV, you were fucking special.
Yeah.
I think my nephew, I got a little nephew called Mateo. He's fucking 7 months old. I actually think he will grow up and be like, meh. Yeah, your face is on TV, but so is mine. I don't care. So it will be interesting to see where this is going to go.
Well, I still think because the majority of people don't take action, that those few who do are still going to have a pretty massive advantage.
That's a good point.
I live in the worst. So you and I are in the self-help space. I'm in the worst part of self-help. So you have an ROI. You sell people a business product and they make money from it.
Yeah.
I sell the worst part of the best thing to sell in self-help. You know what it is? You know what the best thing to sell is? Feelings.
Yeah.
Feelings. Bro, I'm going to make you feel good. Say these affirmations. What does it cost you to tell someone to say affirmations? Tony Robbins, affirmations, the cost of goods sold are 0. His markup is infinity. Does that make sense?
True.
The worst thing to sell in self-help, you know what it is? Actions. I'm gonna give you things to do, and I'm gonna hold you accountable, and they may or may not make you money. I am in the worst corner of self-help you can be. Now, my clients love me the most, and my refund rate is probably the lowest of anyone I've ever met. But I also make you do work. When I was talking to Bilzerian when they did Sigma Society, he was like, I don't want this to feel like work for the guys. And I'm like, yeah, you don't want to see my course. It's 114 modules to start. And you have to read 35 books in my course. Yes. How about my course is work? But if you do my course, no one comes out of my course without, like what you said before, thank you. Have you read Dan Kennedy's Speak to Sell?
No.
Okay, he talks about selling on stage. Dan Kennedy, he says, if I could get away with it, I would come down in the audience and I would hit you over the fucking head, and I would reach into your pocket and I would take the money out of your pocket and I would drag you over to this table and make you sign this contract so that you had to be enrolled in my program because my program is worth more than your money. And you're too stupid to know that that's going on. He says that in the book. Now, I'm not going to say that, take it to that level, but that's how I feel sometimes. You're just seeing this guy and it's like, yeah, I pay women for sex sometimes, but it's okay because they like me. Like deep down, they kind of like me. And I have this girl that she's going to come visit me next week, but like she won't respond, but I already paid for her ticket to come out. And I don't know, like, what should I do here? Should I like message her like a couple more times? And you just want to like, bitch, the fuck is wrong with you? But you can't do that because you're on a sales call. You can't do that. And so you look at the person, you're like, hey man, so here's an example. And I have to show them because I have 200 video testimonials just because the editor ran out of time. I'd have 500. And I had this, I'm showing, hey, see this guy right here, this guy right here. I have a client. He's 4'11". He was like with this gorgeous 10. Owen was with me and I was like, Owen, that's my client. He's 4'11". And that girl is the hottest girl here. And Owen is like, he's like laughing. I was like,
that's great, dude.
That's great.
That's amazing, bro. Yeah, that's
bro. Like, yeah. But like, I'm like watching this and I'm just stunned. I'm with a girl and I don't even care. I'm like, I made this happen. But I watch that and it's hard because I'm asking you to take action. And then here's the worst part. You have to open yourself up to criticism. We do these calls. I'll turn the recording off and guys will talk about their wins and their losses and they're very comfortable doing so.
Yeah.
But it's the hardest. This is the biggest uphill battle. And here's the other thing. I don't have an LTO. I only have a high ticket offer. It is so hard doing it this way. It is. But because we did it this way, now when I launch an low ticket offer, it's going to be way easier for me.
Yeah, low ticket's baller.
It's going to be so much easier for me to get better leads. There's a bunch of other things that are happening. And if I ever do sell a course, basically on how I built a business up to like from 0 to 10 million, when I do that, I'm going to be able to come from, bro, I had nothing. I lost all my money. I was a military officer, don't know shit about e-com. I started from here, and then here's how I built it up to here. At least I'm going to be able to tell that story. Because if you read $100 million offer and $100 million leads, Alex Hormozi does not say, here's the best way to do it. He says, this is the way I did it.
Yeah.
And that's what makes him an expert.
Yeah.
He already had $100 million before he wrote the first book because that's what he exited with. So I think that's the thing to do. And it's really difficult because people want this. You remember what you said before, your nephew might not be impressed with people on screens. No one takes action, man. And I think fewer people will take action.
It will get worse.
I think fewer people will take action because their life is easier, because your ancestors had to go hunt for food and put their lives at risk to go get food, and you push a button on Postmates.
That's very huge. That's very, very, very true. And that's why this whole idea of like, I keep going back to Joe Rogan. I fucking love that guy. This whole like, you got to make yourself suffer on purpose every single fucking
cold lunch every day.
Yeah, because your life is not going to suffer. We're here in California. We have a beautiful fucking house. We got steak and eggs every morning. So, hey, I'm ready for the steak. Steak comes in a fucking plate and I'll eat it. There's no suffering. I don't have to suffer all fucking day. You know what? I got my laptop here. I got access to unlimited internet pornography. Yeah. I can just be upstairs all day, just chill and eat food. I have zero pain and suffering in my entire fucking life. Yeah. What do? I make myself get up early in the morning. I make myself fucking take 10,000 steps. I make myself go stupid fucking leg day because I couldn't get it in yesterday because I had a fucking headache. Nobody forces me. I got great legs. My legs are fucking huge. I still fucking do it. Not even because of the gains anymore. I fuck the gains. I look fucking amazing. I'm exactly the size I want to look. But because otherwise, if I don't suffer enough per day, I will lose that suffer muscle, and something in my biology will tell me, you know what? You got a beautiful girlfriend. You're going to make a baby.
Bro.
You have all the food. Dude, just fucking chill. What are you doing?
Yeah.
You got all the money, man.
Dude.
Someone asked me the other day, like, Max, you're on a fucking podcast tour? I got 15 guests in 30 days. Yeah. Right? Plus shooting Instagram reels. Plus shooting fucking YouTube. Yeah. Traveling, that alone already sucks the fucking life out of you. Dude, why am I still fucking doing this? I made all the fucking money in the world because otherwise I will fucking degenerate into a zero testosterone blob. I will get fucking man boobs. I will probably lose my girlfriend. I will probably disempower. Like I would probably what is it called? Like estrange my future children.
Yeah.
All my friends are gonna say I'm a fucking loser. Like my life is gonna go down shit. The only thing that is keeping it at bay, the only thing that's fucking Hodor holding the door, is me making myself suffer a little bit every single fucking day. And people is 100% like you said. People don't fucking realize that, and that's why it's just gonna get easier and easier for people who fucking do take action.
Yeah, I'm doing Andy Priscilla's 75 hard right now, and it's so funny. So I was out with this girl, and she was going to sleep. It was like 6 o'clock in the morning, dude. And I had to get up the next day to give a speech at Ty Lopez. and I turned the lights off and I lay there and I'm like, I didn't read 10 pages. And I get up and I just start reading 10 pages from the book. And then I got to take a picture of myself with no shirt on, whatever. The other night I went out and went out to the club, come back, and I realized I did my outdoor workout, but I didn't do my indoor workout.
Oh shit.
So I had to go to the gym. It was 3:30 in the morning and I did 45 minutes. And I'm like, I'm not going to not do this because I want to keep doing it. The diet has been the hardest part of all of it. And the water actually was the first one. You have to drink a gallon of water every day. People look at me like I have to get up and pee several times. I deliberately didn't drink before this podcast because I just have to pee. But I have to drink. I'm going to drink like half a gallon on the plane.
How much is a gallon in liters?
3.5? It's
3.5, I think even.
Yeah, 3.5 sounds right. Yeah, 128 ounces.
That's a lot.
Yeah,
that's more than I drink.
Yeah, I drink a gallon every day. But I was doing 75 hard because
I want to see how much it is. But keep talking.
Yeah, but it forces you to, like you said, the suffering. So I'll do 75 hard and I do intermittent fasting. So my first meal won't be until like 5 or 6 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And I do cold plunge and I do the steam room after my workout. I have 5-day splits I do for a workout. I read 10 pages. And then while I'm working out, I listen to audiobooks at double speed, sometimes triple speed, and take notes. And then I go through whatever, like I have my next podcast guest coming up next Wednesday. And I'll do that whole thing and I won't miss anything. And then I also have to, do my group calls, my podcast, all those other things. And then you do the suffering. And at the end of the day, you're like exhausted. And then you just realize, oh, that's right. Yeah, I make more money than all my friends.
Yeah, no shit.
Like, oh, that's why this is going on. Like, oh, my girlfriend is actually hotter than anyone my friends have ever dated in their whole life. And then you forget that. And you're like, what is this? What is this worth to you? Man, and that PS5 controller, it's so beefy. It was just sitting right there. And then I was like, oh, Grand Theft Auto 6 is coming out next year. And man, it's going to destroy our businesses. You know that, right? GTA 6 is going to destroy our businesses.
I'm already looking forward, man.
Oh, bro.
I was so scared of Diablo 4. I'm like, no, please don't be good. And people are like, no, it's shit. I'm like, thank God. Yeah.
Yes, dude. When GTA 6 comes out, I told my clients, I'm like, we're doing, because you do 30 rooms, 30 guys in a lobby.
Yeah.
I'm going to start doing coaching calls in a lobby. We're going to do some team building today. We're going to rob this bank on GTA 6. Guys, meet me at this intersection right now, and I'm going to be on my headphones.
I'm down to join your squad, man.
Yeah, let's do it. Let me stream GTA 6. I'm like, I can't beat them. Join them, That's what I'm going to do, because people don't want to take action, bro. It is so crazy when you see that. And, like, I think I've actually had, the only times I ever have refunds is guys will come on the call and be like, okay, man, here's the first 6 things you got to do. And they're like, I have to do something. I'm like, you saw those photos with me and 40 girls. Do you really think I'm 47 years old and I was dating a 22-year-old girl? Do you think she's a world champion bikini model? Do you think that this is happening because I don't take action? Do you think it's happening because of some words or some lines of code that I wrote, bro? Is that what you really think is going on? You have to go out and embarrass yourself sometimes. You have to walk up to strangers. You have to sit there and send invites to thousands of people to events that you created, that you spend a ton of time. And you know what's going to happen in your first couple of events? No one's going to show up. I love this. I get this. This is a question I get every time. Guy will hit me up. He goes, Michael, I got my first event coming up in a couple weeks. And I was like, dude, how long have you been in the program? He's like, about a month. And I'm like, I told you I don't want you throwing any events until 6 months. He goes, yeah, Michael, but I know what I'm doing. I'm going to throw an event. I have 25 girls confirmed. And I'm like, you have 25 girls confirmed? He's like, yeah. What do you mean you confirmed them? I was like, well, I messaged 100 girls and I had 25 girls said that they'd like to come. I was like, so 0 girls are going to show up, dude. I just need to explain this to you. And I was like, let me see your Instagram. I was like, well, I'll fix my Instagram later. I was like, you've been in the program for a month. You haven't fixed your Instagram. You messaged a bunch of girls. You said 25 of them are going to come. None of them are going to show up. He goes, well, that wasn't my question. My question was, the homeowner said I can only bring 20 girls and I have 25 girls confirmed. What do I do? And I was like, the problem you're going to have is when you show up and no girls show up. And they're like, oh, okay, Michael, whatever. And then they come on the call the next week. They're like, you were right, Michael. I don't understand. Like, none of the girls showed up. I was like, bitch, the first thing I told you was to fix your Instagram, and I told you not to throw an event for the first 6 months. But you don't listen, dude. You don't listen. And then meanwhile, I got my other clients, and they're legitimately like, dude, I have 300 girls coming. I was like, 300 girls aren't really coming. He's like, no, Michael, I have 600 girls confirmed. There's 300 girls coming. He's like, this guy gets it. And I look at his Instagram, he looks like a fucking player. He's on a jet ski with 3 girls on the back. It's like, this guy, okay, yeah, you have 300 girls. What's the problem? He's like, well, the venue can only hold 150. Fuck it, bring all the girls.
High quality problems. And that's what action taking brings you. Here's the funny thing. We got to wrap things up. How long have we been doing? Jesus Christ. We're going to wrap things up soon. But one last point I want to bring. It's very, very rare as a man to have the holy trifecta, which is 6-pack, a beautiful woman or multiple beautiful women, depending on your preference, and fucking money. Yeah. It's really, I know a lot of guys that are crushing it, but they're fat and ugly.
More likely to be a millionaire than to have a 6-pack.
Yeah.
No, read the studies.
Really? Really shit.
To have an actual.
The fuck?
Yes, you are more likely to be a millionaire than to have a 6-pack. Look it up.
Damn, is that recent? Because just food has gotten shittier.
I think it was Hermosi who said that.
Okay,
it might have been, or it may have been Bradley. I can't remember, but I read it somewhere. And then they went over the numbers and they said this is the percentage of people who have this body fat, and then this is the percentage of millionaires that are in the country. With inflation, there's a lot more millionaires.
Yeah, that's true.
Also, if you go over like the ability to bench press 225, about 102 kilos.
Yeah,
you are in the top 3% of people who go to the gym if you can bench press 225. I'm like, I grew up in the 90s. You bench press 225 15 times.
You are world champion.
Or you're a bitch.
Yeah.
No. No, if you grew up in Texas and you can't do 225 10 reps, you're a punter.
That's not
funny. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they have a name for that. It's called punter. Like that, you're a kicker. That's what you can't bench press 225 10 times. And like, I see this 3% of people in the gym can bench press 225. I was like, what happens? Then I realized people stopped doing bench press. When I grew up, everyone played basketball, everyone did bench press, everyone ran track, and everyone played football. Yeah, everyone wrestled. Now kids do not do any of that shit. Yeah. It's not cool to play football anymore. When I was growing up, you played American football, or if you grew up in Texas, you played American football, even if you had no business being on the field. We had 2 girls on our team because they wanted to be cool. Everyone played American football. Yeah.
What do you think is the percentage of millionaires, 6-pack, and playboys? That must be like 0.
So I mean, let's just go over this. Like, not obese, that means you're in the top 60%. So 40% of the men are obese. So that doesn't mean you have a 6-pack, though. 6-pack, we're talking below, depending on your genetics.
10, 12%.
10, 12%. There could be a guy who's 14% and has a 6-pack, depending
body fat percentage.
Because
people get confused.
Yeah, body fat percentage. It's possible, but it's not likely. But you could have that. Likelihood of you having that with an American diet is pretty low. So we're probably saying like 10%, but like we're saying over $100,000 a year, or over $200,000 a year. Over $100,000 a year in the United States, that's top 17%.
No, I'm talking about a million income per year.
A million.
That's what I would say. Yeah.
Oh, a million income. Oh, I used to have these numbers memorized. So the top 1% of wage earners in the United States is $850,000 a year. So a million, 1.1 million puts you in the top. No, the top 1/10 of 1% is 3.3 million. So let's just say you're in the top 1/2 of 1%. So if you make $1 million a year, I think that would be right. I could be wrong. If 800,000 is the top 1% and 3.3 million is the top 1/10 of 1%,
yeah,
then $1 million is like the top 0.8%, something like that.
Plus 6-pack, plus
so plus 6-pack. So you're going to take that number. You're probably going to see more ambitious people in that group, but like I would say 6-pack, you're maybe 5% of people have 6-pack, maybe less, maybe 3%, and then what was the third one? You're good with women?
Dating life. Either being married to someone that you really actually love.
We're talking 1 in 10,000 people, maybe. Probably 1 in 10,000, I would say. I know that people think that's nuts, but like, I know a lot of guys who are good with women and rich and they don't have a 6-pack.
Exactly.
And like,
but having all 3 is fucking rare.
A lot of guys that I know that have 6-packs are taking tren, whatever. They spend their whole day at the gym and they don't have any money.
Exactly. That's what I'm
saying.
All 3 is fucking rare.
All 3. And then the other problem is the guys with money and the 6-pack don't work on game, and they use their money to get women, so they're not good with women. So that's really rough. I think you'd have to start off being good with women first.
Yeah, that's how it was for me.
Yeah, and
then figure out the other one.
And then figure out the other 2, because the you can't have a crutch and then get good with women. This is what you'll find. Like, it's really hard to teach really good-looking guys, like a true,
how to actually,
or you really have to tease her, bro. And like, I know this is going to be hard, but that girl that you're dating that didn't fuck you on the first date, you're going to have to show up to a party with another girl. And I know it sounds so petty. Who hurt you, Michael? It's because it works.
Yeah.
It's because it fucking works, bro. You know, Myron Gaines, he had this one thing. It was super offensive to women. He said, dude, if you have a girl, she comes over your place, she doesn't want to have sex with you, be like, hey, I had a good time with you. Called you in Uber and just literally be on the phone with another girl while the girl is leaving.
Yeah.
People are like, that's horrible. I can't believe you said that. You know why women are saying it's horrible? Because they know it would work. That's why they're saying it's horrible. I'm not saying you should do that. You should definitely do that. But what I'm saying is that's the reason why they're complaining. Women are not complaining about overweight homeless people going on dates with them and then they're fucking them on the first date. Okay, I had one other date with this overweight homeless guy and he fucked me on the first date. Women are not complaining about that because it doesn't happen. Women are complaining about good-looking guys fucking them on the first date because it worked, because that's what's going on. Women are complaining. Dude, I do the unsend feature on Instagram. I'll send a girl a message, and if she doesn't respond, I'll just unsend it, and they'll send a different message. Women are complaining about it because it works. That's why, because women can't properly estimate your value because they got one message from you, and it was a short message. And then they go look at your IG and they see all these girls, and they can't estimate your value properly. But a club promoter sends 15 messages in a row. She knows he's low status.
Yeah.
She's not confused. Now you've taken away her ability to estimate your status. So what is her response? To complain and call you immature. That's the only thing she can do. You show up to a club with a bunch of hot girls and she cannot estimate your status because she sees all these women with you. It confuses her. She doesn't know. So the only thing she could do is call you a player. She doesn't know how. She has to denigrate you because she's losing power in the interaction. That's the only thing she can do. That's what people do when they're losing power. Anyone who complains about a guy who's in his 40s dating a woman in his 20s, why? I could not imagine complaining about that as a man. Now, I am a man in my 40s who date women in their 20s. But my thing is, why the fuck would I complain about that? That's so crazy to me. Unless I'm a woman who's in my 40s. I can't get a man in my 40s anymore. Then I'm going to complain. People do not complain about things that aren't effective.
Or you're a man in your 40s and you're not getting the results yourself.
You're like, you're creepy and weird.
Yeah.
And like, bro, my favorite one is like, hey, listen, is there a guy, like, I'm not saying sex with a woman you're in love with isn't great. It is absolutely great. I've had it. I'm sure you've had it too. But you can also have terrific sex with two super hot women that you met in a hot tub, and you're just having sex with them and you don't even know them.
You will not complain.
And you're not going to complain.
No man will ever
Now,
fucking complain.
You and I say that. You post this clip in the comments. There's going to be some guys like, the only sex that I want is with my lawfully wedded wife that I love so much. You're so immature. Get out of the club, dude. You're such a and you just look at this dude and like, bro, these women aren't going to fuck you because you're a fucking white knight. I just don't know how to explain this to you. Like, why are you doing this? It's just so sad to watch you ruin your life. You know as well as I do that men can have sex and it not mean anything. And you're still arguing against me, and you know what I'm saying is true. How sad is that for you, dude, that you feel that you're so concerned with what women think about you that you would write that? That is so, I'm not mad at you. I feel pity for you for writing that. Yeah. Any guy out there, dude, we close the door. There's no women around. Guys, who here believes that a man can have sex, be married, have kids, love the shit out of his wife, and have sex with other women and still love his wife? And of course, every man raises their hand.
And that's the crazy part, because we can separate that.
Yes, but you and I, usually I'm saying this, but there's going to be some guy in the comment who's literally going to say what we're saying isn't true when he knows it's true. And there's going to be women, but by the way, women not knowing it's true, I understand, because they're women. They have ovaries. They don't have testicles. They have 1/17 as much testosterone as me. I understand that from their standpoint, they can't believe that men can have sex that's non-contextual and it mean nothing and it's fun and go back to their wife and love their wife. I know that women can't grasp that. Now, some women can. Most women in Las Vegas understand this, and any woman who's a stripper fully grasps this concept. But most women can't grasp this concept. Like, no, cheating is horrible. I agree with you that cheating is horrible. That's not what I said. What I said is your husband can go have sex with another woman and come back and still love you, and he's never going to file for a divorce.
Arguably even love you more.
Always love you more, yeah.
Literally, because what I have in my woman is way better than this thing. And also because I actually think like a big reason why divorces exist because men are forced to be monogamous.
Yes. Of course.
If they had...
Well, hold on. While I agree with you, the reason why is because women are forced to be monogamous. Here's what's going on. Because it's 80% of divorces are initiated by women.
Good point, yeah.
And the women and the men, as soon as they fall short and stop validating what the woman wants, then the woman gets out quickly. Like you should, if you could ever have a chance to have James Sexton on, you've got to have him on. He's a divorce attorney who lives in New York.
Is that the guy that was on with Owen on
I don't know if he was with Owen, but he has tattoos. He was on Soft White Underbelly recently.
James
Sexton. And he goes, I wish I could tell you that a bunch of stories about men losing their jobs and the women being like, I'm staying by my man. I love my man. I'm going to be here forever. I wish I could tell you that's the case. It's not the case. As soon as these men lose their jobs, like literally before the paperwork is in to get the man fired, the woman is already talking to a divorce attorney and trying to figure out how much half is, because she knows they're about to lose a lot more money and she wants half of what's left. She's like, they're so quick to get out of relationships when men are broke. And if you look at the other studies that show what is the number one precipitator of a man going a year without sex, you know what it is? It's being unemployed or underemployed, meaning not having money. That's what's going on. Women are interested in money, and they shouldn't be embarrassed, because if I had a daughter, I would want my daughter to be with a man who can take care of her financially. It doesn't mean it's the only thing, but it's a prerequisite. Just like for me, a prerequisite is that I am physically attracted to you and you're not obese. That's my prerequisite. If I have a prerequisite, I'm not shallow. You can have a prerequisite too. You want a man that has a certain amount of money to take care of you. That totally makes sense to me. But stop lying about it and telling me I like him because he's ambitious. You like him because he bought you that fucking Cartier. That's why you like him. Stop lying. You don't have to lie about it. Just be truthful about it. And it's so funny how it's like, why is it porn stars and fucking sex workers the only one who are going to be honest about it? Why can't you be honest about it, Karen? Be honest about it too.
Amen to that, man. I just added James Sexton. It sounds like he was on the podcast with you, right?
We did a group chat. We did a couple of group things together.
Yeah. I saw a clip.
Yeah.
That's the guy.
Yeah.
Love it. I'll reach out to him. Well, Michael, where can people find you? How can people get in touch with you, learn from you?
The easiest way is on Instagram. Go to Michael Sartain on Instagram. I know a lot of people are like, go to my website, email me this. No, I want you to go to Instagram because I'm going to teach you Instagram. Instagram is a language. I want you to think of Instagram as a different programming language. Except in this programming language, whereas in Python, I might use Python to read a spreadsheet. We use Instagram to imbue and receive status from women and let women see our status, period. Instagram is for status. The picture of you with your grandma goes on Facebook. That's what Facebook's for. Instagram is for status. Twitter is for being a troll, okay? Snapchat is for showing your vagina to people and trying to get them to come on your OnlyFans. Instagram is for status. It's the only platform that is solely about status. Yeah. You can't DM girls and invite them to a party on YouTube or TikTok. It's just Instagram. Now, that's going to change in the future, but for right now, it's Instagram. So I want you to look me up on Instagram at Michael Sartain. That's the first thing I want you to do. If you guys are interested in my program, if you want to learn, if you cannot replace your dating life, your girlfriend, you cannot replace your friend group, and you cannot replace your job in 15 minutes, you don't have enough abundance. I know right now 15 other companies that would hire me in 2 seconds, and I have my own company. I don't need one. I know 15 other girls that would go out with me, and I have a ton of people that I could hang out with. Like, if you can't replace that in 15 minutes, you don't have enough abundance. I teach you to have enough abundance in networking, communication, leadership, and dating. That's why I teach you in MOAmentoring.com. So I would go to MOAmentoring.com, or you can check us out. Sam Ubbins and Alex Hermosi work together on School, SKOOL. I'm at school.com/men of action free. There's a hyphen in between each word, men-of-action. If you guys want to join that, you'll get the 200 video testimonials. You get all our Instagram testimonials so you can see all the guys crushing it. You get our schedule, you get our book list, and you'll be able to see all the cool things that we got coming up in the future, including the first 4 steps of MOA that we give away for free. It's like 50-hour course we give it away for free.
Baller. Check them out, folks. We're going to put all that in the description note as well as links so people can click on them. They don't have to manually do it. Thanks for coming on, man.
All right, man. Pleasure. I'm running to the airport right now. See you in a second, man. Visit me in Vegas. Everybody watching this, come visit me in Vegas.
Let's go.
What a crazy freaking episode that was. I really hope you enjoyed that. And most importantly, though, it's on you to build your own freedom, to build your own business, become your own boss, and start building something. Whether that is on the side next to your 9 to 5, or whether that is something where you want to go all in to make $50,000 to $100,000 a month, we can help you. We've helped over 3,000 people with their online coaching businesses before. I'm literally the best person on the internet that can help you build an online coaching business. This is the most safest, secure business model in the world. This is the business model with the by far highest profit margins. That's why I get predominantly coaches and online coaches and consultants on this very podcast, because it's the best freaking business model out there. So if you want to get started, which you do because you're still listening to this, go ahead. Down in the description below, there's a link for you to book a call directly with me and my team. If you're only listening, you can't find the link. It's maxtornow.com/call. Type that into your phone or your browser right now. Book on a call, hop on a call with us. Let's make it happen. Talk to us. We'll literally tell you how to build your coaching program, how to get your first clients, what to post, where to post, how to build a repetitive client delivery system that gets you clients on autopilot, how to go viral, how to build your online brand. We'll teach you everything. We've helped over 3,000 people in the past, and we have a double your investment guarantee. Nobody offers that on the internet for you. We do this because we've been in the market for many, many, many years and have literally helped successfully thousands of people. We're the best in the industry. If you want to learn from the best, work with the best, link down in the description below, maxtornow.com/call. Book your call there and talk to you soon.